So today's session, as you know, is on band websites, and I'm very happy to welcome our distinguished panel of experts. There we are, who are going to help us learn about what goes into a good band website and pitfalls to avoid when making your band website, because as we all know, there's nothing worse than a pitiful website. Well, maybe there are some things that are worse, but if you're a band, very few things that are worse than a pitiful website. So we have, maybe pitiful music, perhaps.
You'd be surprised.
So let me introduce our panel. We have first over here drinking coffee is Lee Martin, who is an independent web designer and developer. He's actually more of a software and app developer and a marketer, a music industry marketer. Why don't you correct me on this, because I know you wear so many hats. Why don't you tell the people what you do?
I do own a lot of hats. I bought a lot of hats recently.
Online ads?
Hats.
Oh, hats.
Yes. Gosh, what do I do? It's marketing for a really long time, for 12 years in the music business, just helping artists sell a single, put a record out, put a tour out, whatever it takes. Usually through experimental marketing means, doing weird stuff. Yeah, maybe we'll get into that a little bit, but
Okay.
that's pretty much it.
Awesome. But you started doing websites back in the early days of music websites, right?
Websites, MySpace profiles,
I'm
AI
sorry.
and body icons.
Did you say my something?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, one of my first big career moves, I was like, I don't want to make these MySpace profiles anymore. Like it happened.
All right. Well, everybody welcome Lee Martin. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, and a roar went through the building. Next is Brandon Schelling, who is also a web designer and developer who works at his day job at Ochsner Health System and is a graduate of the University of New Orleans with a Bachelor in Fine Arts. And he is a graphic designer, 3D animator, web developer, and a code mechanic. Anything I'm missing, Brandon? Is that talking to the mic?
Oh, that's it. I consider myself a code mechanic only because I find myself having to fix websites. So if it's, I don't know, it's any website, someone's like, hey, I had this designer, they kind of bailed on me. You think you could take a look at it? And then I go in there and I'm like tinkering
You're like, do you have the
around.
password? No.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
All right, well, Brandon Schelling, everybody. And thank you, one and all. And Brandon Haynes, we have two Brandons here today. Also a web designer and developer with more than 10 years in experience designing and programming websites using various content management systems, doing HTML, WordPress, Joomla, and has created and managed professional and appealing websites for lots of different companies. He has a web development company here in town called Nola Web Team, and you've developed lots of websites for business applications.
A lot of business applications. I started maybe 10 years ago. I wanted some Saint season tickets, and I thought this would be the best way to make some money. And so helped me get some money to get the tickets and all. But I've been developing sites for about 10 years. Everything from HTML back in the Dreamweaver days. Yeah. So y'all missed that joke. And so yeah, we were developing sites, myself and another guy. Thank you. Using Dreamweaver, the old software back in the days, and then we migrated to using CMS, WordPress, and so I'm primarily a WordPress guy, developing sites for mom and pops, for small bands, and for small like nonprofit organizations like churches and things like that.
But you've done some band websites.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, great. And
Yeah.
Brandon, how am I going to distinguish?
I know.
Brandon S, Brandon H?
Yeah.
Brandon S. Now, oh wait, you don't have a mic now.
There you go.
Okay. Now, you work primarily at Ochsner. Have you actually done any band websites at all?
I have. I do a lot of freelance stuff also. So it's a mix between artist websites, small business websites. So I just have an idea of how to market a good website and what's the best practice.
Perfect. That's exactly what we're here for. So some of you have probably come across websites that are really, really unattractive or for other reasons perhaps ineffective. And our goal today is to talk about both things that make websites both attractive and effective. and for our purposes, specifically for the context of marketing a band, but really it could be for marketing anything or any commercial enterprise, let's say. But in music, obviously what we're interested in is getting the name of the artist out there, promoting their career, fan engagement, and building an audience, and ideally perhaps also generating some revenue.
Yep.
So we'll talk about that stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so now, and I promise we have not rehearsed this, okay? Does a band need a website?
Yes. But also with a website, they need a quality social media presence. Because, I mean, a website is one thing, but nowadays everybody, let's face it, everybody's on Instagram. Everybody's on Facebook. So you need something to push them to the website. So I tell people, the first thing you want to start is with your Instagram. If it's nothing but a picture of your band in front of your mama's house, something to get your brand out there. And then you want to push them to your website where you can have your merch, you can have your events, you can have your tickets for your sales and all the different things. But you want to get something to draw them to it. So if you're just playing harmonica in the French quarters on Thursdays, you need some kind of web presence because everybody's on the web and everybody's connected.
Yeah, because what I usually think about when I think of a website, it's like a business card. Yeah. That's exactly what it is now. So you kind of want to create, like what you said, a social media presence. What I usually call it is social proof. Yeah. So you kind of have to draw in that audience to push them somewhere, not only just from one social media outlet to the next, because I've noticed there's a lot of social media celebrities that push users from one platform to the next. They're like, oh, well, check out my Instagram page, or check out, you kind of want to lead them down one direction to take them to eventually your website, because that is your business card. That is where you know, at the end of the day, want to keep your users, is on your website.
No, don't build a website. No, I'm kidding. Yes, mostly because all of the social networks are very noisy. We know this. You put a post up, it goes into a feed, or at least that was the promise. Now the feed's been kind of shuffled by robots, and the only way to get into the feed is if you pay for it. It's basically impossible to make an impact or feel secure in the audience building that you're doing as part of the social presences. But what you can do with a website is tailor it to your personality and simplify it down to only the information that's required for the users who are going to visit it. The promise of the social network is definitely a weird one. One that's now sort of a paid promise. And it happened once with Facebook. Now they're forcing artists to pay to hit the entire audience that they actually garnered on the network. And that sort of stuff like always has upset me in terms of artists. The defensibility of your communication. And really the only way to achieve that is via a website.
So if you have 10,000 likes of your Facebook page and you make a post, not all 10,000 people are going to get it.
No, I think like 100 people will see it.
Unless if you boost it with money.
Unless if you boost it with money, but even then, like it has the word sponsored on it. It has a different perception. Yeah, but another thing is like, I honestly think Facebook became very big because of their promise to the creator community to begin with. And this promise of building a community and being able to hit them. I don't know if you remember, but back on MySpace, you could actually put a post up and it would go to everybody. That's probably one of the reasons MySpace failed, because that just doesn't scale. It was incredible that they were letting us do that in the first place. But Facebook quickly realized, like, it's sort of like an all-you-can-eat menu. And when we go to Facebook, we get to choose however many things we like, but we never decided how much we were able to consume. So Facebook's like, holy shit, I have to portion this out somehow now. And they do that with the algorithm. And the algorithm doesn't put truly the things that you want there. But more importantly, if you're the artist, doesn't put you out in front of them as well.
So, picking up on that thread, there are people, bands, who think that setting up a Facebook page or an Instagram account or a Twitter feed, or I think there are some people who actually remember what MySpace might have been, who think that that may have been sufficient. And you're saying, no, that's not sufficient.
That's just a start. You want to use that as a start, but if you're like me, I rely on the data to tell me where I need to go next. So I always recommend this to anyone, set up a Google Analytics account, and that'll actually show you how your audience is engaged with your website, but also your social platforms. Because there's tools within these social platforms that you can actually see how your audience is engaged and who you need to target things to. And that'll give you like a determination of how you should tailor things on your social media platform.
Definitely of the mind, use them all.
Yeah.
Trust none of them.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Now, we are doing another panel. I think May 16th is the date. I'm not sure. Specifically on social media strategies. So I don't want to get bogged down right now in what are the good things or not good things to do on social media. I want to talk really about websites. So come back on May 16th, and we'll be talking about all of the reasons why you should or should not be posting on these various platforms. But as far as whether or not a band should even bother having a website, what about these band aggregating platforms like Bandcamp and Reverb Nation? Or is having something like that sufficient for a band?
Well, I think it's sufficient. My only thing with these, like the sites like that, Bandzoogle and all these different sites, eventually some of these sites go out of business. So you put all your hard work and investment into these sites, goes out of business, boom, that's your website. That's your whole presence. But if you can just take the time, take a little dollars, get into a WordPress site that you own, that you control, that you would have your own analytics, you're rocking and rolling. Because just like people never thought Toys R Us would go out of business. We were there last Christmas. My kids crying now. Oh, it's closing. Things shut down, things close all the time. So you want to have that complete ownership of your site. And, you know, those sites like Bandzoogle and the different sites like that, you don't really own it, because if it closes down, there goes your site.
It was like the same rumor with SoundCloud a few months back where they talked about they only had a few dollars to run for another month. You know, and there's a lot of artists that came up on SoundCloud, so they were very dependent on it. And, you know, like he said, you cannot depend on, you know, these music websites to...
Now, just to clarify, Bandzoogle is similar to WordPress or Wix. It's a website template. It's not an aggregator in the way something like Bandcamp or Reverb Nation is. But I think your point is, Brandon, that you don't want to leave all of your data in the hands of a company that could go out of business. You want to be able to have control of it yourself. And there are, as some of you may be familiar, there are now dozens of these band aggregating sites. We've got Bands in Town, Sonic Bids, Gig Town, Gig Masters, Gig Salad, Indie on the Move, and there was actually one that was started by the Jazz and Heritage Foundation several years ago called Gig Gator, which maybe kind of illustrates your point. That site actually, we took it down because we didn't want to put the money into it to really do it correctly, and the maintenance on it was just impossible. So, and it was like doing a Reverb Nation, but this was before Reverb Nation actually existed. So it was ahead of its time, let's say.
One good test you can do is Google yourself, your band, with the word tour or the word music. So Jamaican Me Breakfast tour.
You won't find it.
And see what comes up. And if an aggregator comes up before your band website, you should put your data there, at least for now, because people are searching and you want them to get to accurate data. So that's also just sort of the nature of it. A lot of these websites are bigger, driving more traffic to your presence than your own website is in some cases. and you have to live with those realities as well. I mean, it helps that they also have communities and search functions that might be looking for
The aggregator
Jamaican
sites.
music or new wave music, and they might come across your band. To not have a presence at all there, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice, as if not having a presence on the social networks, it's like you don't exist to some people. So I think it's a mix of both, you know. Aggregations, it's okay, especially like the gig aggregators. Those are no-brainers. And a lot of them offer widgetized experiences, so if you do actually spend the time and energy to enter your events onto one of those websites, they'll give you like a module that you can put back on your website to show those gigs that you contributed, which isn't bad. But we used to do this when I was at Songkick. I actually searched the top 100 artists on our platform, plus the word tour, to see where we came up in the Google top 10. And we used that as a pitching point to go get artists and close business, because we were always like in the top 3 or something, just because the website had been around for so long on that SEO of tour, live, tickets. And we went prove that artists should at least keep their information up to date.
On an aggregator.
Exactly.
As opposed to, well, in addition to their own website.
Absolutely, yeah.
So when people ask me, I always say basically the same thing that you guys have been saying. Yes, you should have a website. It is your business card, as well as your portfolio, your promo kit, your album, because in many cases your music will be there, and your videos and so on. I often tell people it should absolutely be the very first thing that comes up in that Google search should be your website, as opposed to your Facebook page, which, how many times have you seen that? And it should look good. And so I guess that also gets a little bit to the point that you were making earlier, Lee, about how when you have your own website, you can create a look and a feel that represents who you are as an individual or as an artist. So this is your chance. I mean, as much as you can customize a Facebook page, it's always going to look like a Facebook page. It's never going to look like you and your band and what you want to present to the world and give your vibe, your image, who you are as an artist. So it seems to me that in and of itself might be a good reason. Now, one of the things that Lee, I know, is interested in is when you have your website or in other tools that you might be using online, whether it's social media or other platforms, so if we, assume that everybody in the world or every band in the world has a website, how do you find it? How do you know about it? And once you do find it, what makes it stand out? What makes it good? Or as Lee, as you put, how do you differentiate yourself online? Do you have a thumbnail summary of how somebody differentiates themselves, or is that?
I think, honestly, it's about creating content. Like, content is king right now. Yeah. You'll notice that there's a trend now with pushing out video content, because everyone's like a visual user now. So they want you to distribute more content that's more visual, rather than just content where you're having to read through things. So you may see that trend also. And then just connecting with your audience. So you might be on Instagram, do an Insta Live to connect with your audience, and then draw them back to the website. Say, hey, check out my new song on my website.
I would say, I would echo his point. I was looking at the young lady, 3D Nati. She's a local rapper. Well, I think every week, at one time, she was releasing like a little mixtape, or she would rap like 33 minutes, something like that. And that was a way of connecting. Then she would give a shout out to the fans who suggested a song. So she was really just connecting with people, letting people know, hey, I feel special. And then, like he said, with the Insta Live and these different live functions that the social media networks have these days, it's a good way to connect to fans, and it's a good way. So that's a way to differentiate yourself from just the U2 site to a local band.
Yeah, and I followed 3D Nati, so she does like a morning exercise where she does like a freestyle in the morning, and then at the end of the video she says, check, buy my merchandise of this freestyle at 3dnati.com. Simple stuff like that, but it's all about content nowadays. Just pushing out more content, so then you have which is what they call organic traffic. So someone may have shared that video or shared something that you put out there, and then now that person sees it, and then you have 10 more people that see it. So then that actually boosts the site up in search. So if someone searches your name, they'll see your site closer to the top of the search.
And she really looks good too, so that's always a plus. Really looks good.
You mean her website?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we'll look at it in a little while. All right. Well, I heard somebody say not too long ago that, and this gets back to social media, that a good rule of thumb with Facebook is that you should really post not more than once a day, because otherwise you'll burn people out. With Instagram, you can post 10 times a day without burning people out, and with Twitter, you can post 1,000 times a day without burning people out. Any thoughts on that? But your website, my point is that your website remains constant. It's evergreen. It is a thing that stays there, and you don't have to worry about burning people out on it. Maybe getting bored if you don't change it, but it remains that branded platform that you don't have to worry about updating every day.
I think that's a pretty good breakdown of how those three networks work. As we already know from today, no one on Facebook will ever see your post. On Instagram, you can post pretty much as you want. And by stealing the story format from Snapchat, they've created a new standard for sort of the temporary post that will only exist for 24 hours and sort of disappears after that. And Twitter, we already know, is sort of a free-for-all. You get to post and be like right next to the president, and then your post and that kind of stuff. Velocity of post for sure.
Okay, all right, so we've now resolved the eternal question, should a band have a website? We have all answered in the affirmative, yes, you should have a website. Okay, what makes a band website good? I would say that there are functional elements that everybody should be thinking about, and then there are design elements that everybody should be thinking about. In terms of functional elements, the ones that are most important that you absolutely want to be including in your website.
I would say video. You have to have either YouTube embed. You have to have video and a way that they can connect with Amazon or iTunes or Spotify or whatever these different streaming services.
Wherever you have your music
wherever
available.
you have your music store, so they can get access to the music because they want to go to your website for something. And then also functionality, if they want to buy merchandise, making it real easy for them to buy merchandise. They don't have to put this information in and all these different changes. They want to buy a shirt, couple of clicks, pick my size, put my credit card in PayPal, and I get it,
But don't they need to get to know you a little bit before they're ready to jump in bed and buy your t-shirt?
Well, if I'm knowing that, this guy has like their site, if I'm going to their site, I must be kind of a fan. I'm checking them out. I've been checking them out. I like their Instagram. I heard a song. Now I want to get my wife a t-shirt, which I'm going to go on. So, yeah. But, yeah, and also, like you said, you want to get them to know you, like a little bio, that type of thing. I think that's kind of given.
Well, the way I tend to look at it, since I book talent for concerts here and at festivals, if somebody tells me about a band that might be good for a festival and I want to find out about them, I Google them, number one, and I look to see whether do they have a website of their own, because if they don't, or it doesn't show up in the first page of a Google search and all there is a Facebook page, that's, red flag number one for me. Are these guys actually professional or are they not? And then if I do get to their website, there's going to be certain things that I'm looking for to satisfy me that not only are they legit, but they're the right band for that event. So, so the types of things that you'd be looking for.
That's a really good, we call this user testing or user perception. That's your use case for the website. What a really smart product designer would do would be to try and have as many conversations with people like you to figure out why people were coming to the website in the first place, and only have those things there. That's the abstraction of it. At the end of the day, if someone's going to your website to listen to a song, there should only be a song on your website, ideally. But there's going to be all this other stuff. Maybe they don't want to read the bio. Maybe they just want your tour dates. So that's sort of the problem that we're trying to solve with a website is how much information is too much information? How can it be displayed in a way that is in a pattern that the user already understands, which is very important. A lot of people want to build quite fancy, confusing websites. Very guilty of this myself. That really goes against the average user who will go to a website and will probably look for some pretty common elements, a nav bar, some buttons to click, maybe some play buttons. You kind of want to steer people in a direction of something that's familiar, for sure.
And usually if you're leading someone from a social media platform, you want to lead them to like a relevant page or just build a landing page. If it's a song that you're promoting, build a landing page that's tailored around that song so they recognize the artwork, they recognize the song. And another thing too, make sure your website is mobile enabled. There's a lot of sites out there that when I get to it, it's not mobile enabled, so I'm navigating to where I have to basically, stretch the screen just to read what I'm looking at. So that's very
what's called
important.
a responsive website?
A responsive website, because if you look at the data, you'll notice that you may have 50 to 60% of your traffic is coming from mobile devices.
And that's sort of a combination between a functional feature and a design element.
Correct.
That's right, and that is a sobering fact too, because when you're building a website, especially as an artist, it's an overwhelming experience. When you're building any website, it can be an overwhelming experience depending on what service you're going to use or who you're going to hire. But if you just remember that the majority of your users are probably pulling this up on their cell phone, where the screen is this big, and the latency, the internet connection they have will probably be pretty minimal. If you live within those realities, I think it takes a lot of pressure off. I've stopped sending my clients mock-ups of desktop websites because I live within the reality of where the majority of it is coming from. I'll send them a desktop website if they ask for it. I think that helps you sort of get to the bare minimum of what the website could be or should be.
So my general rules of thumb are that for a decent band website, I'm going to be looking for number one, video. To agree with what you said, Brandon. I'm going to want to see a bio, not too long and not too goofy, but something that tells me who the hell these people are and where they're from. Their tour dates or tour history, so that I can know where they have played in the past and where they're going to be playing in the future. And if there are none, that's going to be a red flag. Photos, ideally. Contact info. All right, this actually gets to a pet peeve of mine. Have you ever been to a website of a really famous artist, like, Rihanna or Madonna or something like that, and you go to their website, and all it is a video that plays, and maybe a link to buy tickets, and that's it. If you are trying to figure out who to contact, well, clearly you're in the wrong business because it's not going to be on their website, and you clearly don't have any need to know who their publicist
That's
is.
the Kanye West website. Kanye's website is the worst site on. You need to just take it down. It's horrible. He has a video, an old album cover, and that's it. Big as he is, that's all you get.
I think he's got some tour dates on there too, though.
Yeah, old tour dates.
Oh, they're
from last
old.
Year. Yeah, from last year. So,
But the ticket buy links are still live.
That Kardashian girl is keeping him busy, I guess.
All
I don't
right,
know.
well,
The thing about Yeezy, though, is he's always in the news, so everyone can keep up with him.
Yeah.
Right.
He is his website. He represents his own information by always being out there. Also, those clouds are timeless.
Yeah, the clouds.
Where's no, I'm looking for where's Kanye? No, that's 3D not T. What? I thought I had Kanye up here. No, sorry. I was going to show it to you because I thought the most interesting part about Kanye's website was, and I don't have it anymore. I'm sorry, I thought I did. Oh, my bad. I thought I had it. Wait, let me see. Hold on, I'll get it for you.
There we go.
Yes. So Kanye. So.
I think this was dedicated to his mom, so.
Maybe. Okay, but then he's got, all right, he's got that info, and there's all these old tour dates from last year. But you can still buy tickets. And a bridge. I've got a bridge for you if you want to buy any of those. Oh, yes, but then he goes to the video. Is this the one with the naked Rihanna?
Yeah. That's
Yes, it is. Okay. I don't know. I was going to say, I thought that was the most interesting part of his website.
See, and what I usually do too is to inspect this website to see if it's mobile responsive. I usually just pull the edge of the browser over, squeeze the screen, and you'll know if it's if it's going to
I would do
resize.
that, but I would
Yeah.
completely ruin my little thing here, so I'm not going to bother doing that.
I mean,
All
I
right.
think Kanye crushed it here. That's exactly what he wants it to be. This was his last big thing.
Put your screen
Yeah.
up.
I think it's just a picture of me on there.
Oh,
so I
okay,
wanna
now we
look
don't
at that. This is the last big thing he put out, and this is exactly what he wanted on his website. Should it be representing old tour dates? Probably not. Is it confusing fans? Probably so.
But that's what he wanted.
But it's no big deal. It's fine. For him, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a new record. He's definitely going to have a new website. What he doesn't want to do probably right now is change even the slightest thing. And we used to do this in marketing all the time. Turn all of our social networks like black with black images. Just that subtlety. Everyone just starts freaking out. And when you're as big as Kanye, if you remove those tour dates, everyone's like, fuck, he's going on tour. You know what I'm saying? It's too late. He's like locked into that, and by keeping it in that state, he is sort of like in this, period. And the next time he changes it, it'll change, like,
All
for
right.
sure. It's coming.
Okay, well, so for those of us whose careers are not yet advanced to the stage where Kanye's is, we can assume that contact information for the booking contact is relevant.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're trying to throw perspective on that? I'm sorry.
Naked Rihanna may not be quite as relevant for most of our bands, but then again, maybe. All right, so we want the contact info. All right, audio player. When somebody goes to your website and they fire up the browser and they hit your URL and music starts to play immediately before you have done anything, good thing or bad thing? Brandon.
I don't like it. It's because sometimes folks are on slow connections and they just don't have the patience. I'd rather give the person an option to hit play than the automatic just blaring music. I might be in church just looking at your website. You might go to curse. I'm like, whoa, I don't want you to automatically play it. So I like to just hit play and
Wait a
just go
second.
into
You
it.
said you might be in church
I
checking
might
out
be in
some.
church, browsing, and next thing you know, the Kanye
That's where I
come
check
on.
out all my websites, it's like- especially
So-
Kanye's.
And so yeah, sometimes you deal with streaming issues. You're in different places, and so now the website is going to take a long time to load. So, as far as that, I just rather have it.
All right, Brandon,
I think,
autoplay, yes or no?
I think cell phone manufacturers are smart enough to turn that feature off on cell
great.
phones. So if you were to go to a site that has that, you won't even see it at all. Even if it's a video playing background where it's looping video that plays out, you won't even see that in mobile. So you may only find that experience on desktop for the most part.
Okay, so it doesn't bother you as much because it's probably not going to happen when you're looking at it on your phone.
No.
Interesting.
That experience, that's probably a desktop experience.
All right. Lee, thoughts? Don't care?
No, I mean, that's it. That's it. Again, look at your data. If most people are coming via a mobile website these days, thank God, mobile browsers have some protocols in place that don't allow for that functionality to exist anymore. I, as a web developer, wish it would exist. Like, I don't mind completely interrupting people's day, but it's probably going to be for a thematic reason and less of like, just hear my song, Sometimes like a little texture, in the back of a website, maybe not a bad thing, like the sounds of the streets here
Oral
in New
texture,
Orleans.
something that, yeah.
Exactly,
Little
yeah.
soundscape.
It could help a little bit, but...
But you don't want my first single to just immediately pop through your speakers the moment you get to my
nobody
website.
wants that. I mean, maybe the Kanye website.
I'm just telling you, it drives me crazy. I can't stand it. If somebody's website immediately starts playing music at me, I'm like, sorry, can't.
Yeah, I
do
mean, if you're building a website, you can assume that the majority of people don't want that to happen, and as such, you shouldn't do it. It's a bad user experience.
So in terms of design aspects, do you have any rules of thumb for certain, aesthetic principles that you try to follow when you're designing?
Don't use more than 3 at the most font families. Try to keep your typography consistent. Keep your color
That's the
palette.
voice of experience right there.
Yeah, keep your color palette consistent. There's a few websites you could actually go onto. If you just Google search color scheme, there's a designer where if there's a base color that you like to get a color palette for, you just type that web code in, and it'll give you a nice color palette. And nice imagery. You don't want to put images on your website that, it's like you took it on a Razor phone. You want like the highest quality image, but also optimize for the web, because if you have something that's 20 gigs or so uploaded to your website, that kills the performance when people are actually looking at it on a cell phone. So,
Have you ever heard of brutalism?
no.
It's a style of website making where the experience is intentionally bad. It's pretty cool.
Does Kanye's site fit into that model?
I bet
think
one
so.
of his websites did. Yeah.
In- Yeah, all right. Well, maybe we're going to look through some local band websites in a minute. Maybe we'll find some
brutalist.
unintentionally brutal websites. Who knows? All right. Well, just speaking for myself, some of the things that I like in a website, I like a website that is basically clean and modern looking, and we talked about in one of our email exchanges something that's basically just well presented. It looks intelligent.
Yeah, again,
Not jumbled.
Remember the mobile phone. Like,
Right.
if that's the canvas that you're working with, what are you going to put on there? How are you going to actually put a menu system into that? What information are you going to present? If someone only could see the website the size of an iPhone screen, what do you want them to see? Is it a picture of you? Is it a play button? Know the goal, and then likely track it somehow. Did they click on that thing via a play count on one of the services?
When you have a landing page on your website, does it then immediately follow that on that landing page should be a button that says click here to enter the site?
I hate that. I hate landing pages.
Okay.
Why? I tell clients I don't want to work with them if they want to get a landing page, because it just wastes time. I know you want to put, your daughter and have it with a nice picture and stuff. You want to have enter here. I know that I'm going to enter here. I know where to navigate. I know what I'm looking for when I go to a website. And I just feel that most people know what they're going for. So you having a landing page, but like you said, most people might have a not optimized picture. It's going to take a long time to load. They might have some music in the background. That's 30 seconds right there, or 20 seconds.
Man, I got my brand new video. It's got to be on
Yeah,
my
yeah,
landing
yeah,
page. It's
exactly.
got to be the only thing that
They
you
want
see, right?
And the button to fly across, and they hit enter, and it looks great in a presentation. Like you say, you're selling a website. It looks great, but in just real life, it's just not functional.
Well, I don't know about that, but
Fireworks here at Sync Up. Okay, we have disagreement on the panel.
I mean,
Let's
I like landing pages because you can just use it as a singular focus to promote one thing. If it's a new album, if you can have a download to that album, or even just merch. So, I mean, it's you don't want to have like all your users just going to the global site. If they're coming in just for a song alone, I would rather have them just land on this landing page and say, okay, if you want to leak off to another page, you can. But landing pages are useful because you run display ads around your landing pages. A lot of social media ads you run to the landing page. So I mean, I like landing pages.
Yeah, I built a career out of the landing page, for sure.
All right. Well, Brandon, it looks like you're outnumbered. I'm sorry.
No, I think there's just like, there's a traditional view of what the landing page. There used to be a lot of websites that would do it just to do it, but it didn't have a purpose. Especially if it stays up for a long time. It's like, this isn't a landing page. Yeah, this is. Sometimes it's not a landing page as much as it's something that just gets in the way.
Right. Well, I definitely remember websites where it's nothing but a picture.
Yeah.
And the artist may be beautiful, but then you've got to, it's like, click here if you actually want to find out anything about me other than that I have a nice smile.
That's an obstruction. That's
But
different.
I also take your
You
point,
know what?
Brandon.
I kind of see where he's coming from, because years ago there used to be landing pages where it was like, image button, enter my site. It was like not that type of landing page. The ones I'm talking about are like promotional tools. Yeah.
Right. So if you have a new single, if you have a new video, if you have a specific message that you want everybody's attention focused on from the get-go, and make sure that that commercial is front and center in their mind, or billboard as it were, you want that, and give them the option to then go in and find out where
Because you can
your
build a
turbos
marketing
are.
campaign around that landing page, if it's display ads, if it's merch, if it's flyers, if it's videos.
A contest or something like that, you want them to fill out information?
Yeah, because you
put
can
them on the
track
landing page,
all of those users that are landing there, and then you can segment your audience.
And most
based on that.
importantly, the resources that are required to put up a landing page are likely a lot less than getting the content you want on your landing page onto your website in the way you're probably envisioning, which is super clean and super simple.
Okay, so now my question becomes, if I'm a band and I'm just starting out and I know I need a website for my band, should I attempt to hire one of you guys to build my site for me, or should I go to one of these prepackaged template platforms like a Bandzoogle or a Wix or a Squarespace to do it for me? And while you're thinking that over,
Well, I can actually answer that question. I usually get hired after the templating process. So
that's the perfect answer.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
so I don't know what
usually
you all
how it
can
goes.
see here, but this is Squarespace. So this is one of the sites. And actually, as I was looking at these earlier today, it occurred to me that just looking at the design of the homepage for these services that are commercial enterprises themselves, looking at the design choices that they make and the function choices that they make tells you a lot about what the science behind an effective website might be. So that one's Squarespace. This is Wix. It all starts with your stunning website, and that truly is stunning. A hipster in Brooklyn. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? Okay. WordPress. Well, those design choices say a lot about WordPress, or not, actually.
Typography.
Sticking to their guns.
Right. Okay, so this is a question that I wanted to ask you guys, is in terms of design choices. Scrolling page or static page with nav bar?
Oh, static page with nav bar.
Why?
Well, it's more of a URL problem. For SEO purposes, that's search engine purposes, when someone types in your name tour, it helps if tour is its actual page, or Google.
So it's bandname.com/tour.
Exactly. Now you can achieve that same trick with a scrolling website. It's a little bit harder to achieve. So for the most part, I mean, I'm running into this problem right now. I've been doing this for 12 years, but the idea of how Google scrapes the web and understands it still very much thinks of the web as like a page, a page, a page, a page. Yeah. So if someone searches Foo Fighters tour, you might not want them going to a website that has a bunch of information. You just want them going to a website that has links. It's kind of a one-to-one.
Why is it that scrolling sites have become the fashion, and sites with a main homepage and navigation buttons to go to the different various alternate sites are no longer in fashion?
I think it just feels easier with a one-pager. It just feels click here, it drops down, clicks.
This is one big scroll right here.
Yeah.
Scroll right here.
Yeah,
I think it's the evolution of how we're viewing these things.
yeah,
Doing that with your finger is pretty intuitive on a mobile phone.
true. Yeah.
And everyone on desktop, the few people who are left, have to deal with it with their scroll bar. You know what I'm saying?
All right, and this is Bandzoogle. So so Bandzoogle, Wix, WordPress, and Squarespace. Go ahead.
But getting back to your question, you were saying, is it better for a band to make their own site or hire a designer? To me, it just all depends on the time and the money that they have. Why would you? This is my argument. Why would you waste time learning how to code a website and figure out all these different things and optimize images and get your data together when you can scrape up some dollars, come together, get a website designer, and work it out. On Lee's site, he said he works for drugs and on your homepage, sex. Yeah, yeah. So
Not
you can hire.
completely
a designer.
accurate.
So,
Actually get paid.
so I think that it's just not time. It's just not conducive for a band when they could be playing and gigging and practicing to say, okay, let's take these 5 hours a day for the next week and just sit in front of the MacBook. That's crazy.
But these template websites are intended to be
That's what they make it seem like. Oh yeah, just
that
come
you
on
can do
in.
this
Yeah, 5
as
minutes,
quickly
yeah.
as you can
Yeah.
make a Facebook
Yeah,
page.
exactly. That's what they want you to
But,
think.
but if you don't have a design background, it shows, if
Yeah.
with somebody without a design background.
But they have these templates that are supposed to have made all the design decisions for you.
yeah,
I feel a certain way about this. Like, I haven't built.
Are you
going
gonna
to
share it with us?
Yeah, I haven't built a band website in a really long time. Like a website, like one of these websites. I built a lot of websites. It's very confusing, and a lot of people ask me like, "Will you build me a website?" And I usually say no, and I suggest that they use one of these tools. And almost all of those people have a website now. That's a pretty good conversion rate to me.
You mean
Like,
one built by a developer,
built by themselves? Yeah.
as
like-
as opposed to one of the templates?
My sister has a restaurant here in town, Mosquito Plug, and
Damn, that was subtle.
she knows I'm a web designer, and she asked me to build a website, and I say absolutely not. We're a Cajun family. You can't work together. It's impossible. So I suggest go to Squarespace, use this. I mean, she's doing it. It's not easy. I would suggest like having someone sit with you the first time to get it set up.
Yeah.
But there's something that's a relief when you can do things yourself,
So are
if you can.
So are you saying that one of these template services actually is helpful in that regard?
Perhaps. I mean, it's up to the template websites to make something as easy as, say, updating your social presences. If you're not comfortable with updating your social presences and you're already paying someone to do that, you probably shouldn't be building a website. But I would at least dip my toe in the pond of the website template builders if you're already maintaining your social presences, because you're at least putting the time and energy in. It's knowing whether or not those services are actually as easy as they seem. But my sister's not a designer or developer. She has a website. She's taking payments with it. She did it herself.
On a template service like
Squarespace. Yeah.
Squarespace? Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know.
All right. Well, so I have here the fees for these 4 different template services that we looked at. So Bandzoogle is $8.25 to $19.95 a month. WordPress is from free to $25 a month. Wix is from $5 to $25 a month, depending on the features you want. And Squarespace does a $12 to $18 a month website, or if you want an online store, it's $26 to $40. So if you're spending that kind of money every month, after a couple of years, it's going to add up. Now,
So what they don't tell you in some of these services here is there's plugins. So the plugins may cost you, depending on what type of plugin it is, it could be up to $100, maybe more.
what's an example of a plugin?
Oh.
Means like a merch store?
So like for instance on Shopify, there's this there's a drop shipping plugin called Overload. If you get over, I think it's 50 orders a month, they charge you like $59 a month to use the plugin. So there's several developers that create plugins to monetize their services. So the prices you show may be base prices, but let's say you wanted to extend your theme by doing something special, there may be a cost that incurs with
Gotcha.
using that.
Yeah, there's definitely some scare tactics within there trying to convert you because they're trying to make more money while you're in the platform. Again, like Facebook's trying to make more money off of you while you're in the platform.
So I figured it was inevitable that I would share the fact that when we first came up with the idea of doing this panel on website best practices, I was at that moment struggling with a website for my own band. And I'll just tell you that we went through 3 different template services. We started with Ben Zoogle because that was the one that I was most familiar with, and we couldn't get a simple scrolling website. The template just wasn't there or wasn't working, which was shocking to me because if that's the fashion, you would think that that would automatically be one of their stock templates. Then we went to, was it Squarespace? I think it was Squarespace. No, Wix. We went to Wix. Good God, was that ugly. Yeah, that's worse. It was horrifyingly ugly. It didn't look anything like those pretty examples. Oh, that's WordPress, sorry. There's Wix. Oh, hipster in Brooklyn again, I forgot him. But they make all of their websites look so hip and cool, and we just couldn't get our site to look anything like that. And we ended up on WordPress, and we're relatively happy with that. But, Brandon, so you were saying that what you often find is that people will be in a situation like mine, and then after a while, they'll say, you know what, I need a professional. Yeah. So why? What is it that people like me bump up against that we end up calling you?
Most of the time it's I don't have time. I had this designer working on it, and they screwed something up, or they told me they couldn't do it.
Stop returning my calls.
It's a lot, but in my case, it's mostly like just fixing things or extending the style. Yeah. So if there's a custom plugin that someone wants built, I have the ability to do that. But of course, there's a cost. But it's those issues that they have where they're saying, can I pass this on to you? Because I started out wanting to do it on my own, and now here I am.
But when you built, I'm sorry, go ahead, Brandon.
Can I give an example? Just like I had to change the brakes on my truck. So a friend of mine said, go on YouTube. Just go on YouTube and watch the video. So I watched the video on YouTube, about an hour, 20 videos. So you know what? I'm not changing the brakes on my damn truck. I would never, even though they make it seem like you just do this and do that and pop this out. No, I decided to go and get it professionally done.
Right. I mean, do you do your own open heart surgery too?
Exactly. Yeah, there's YouTube videos for that too. So, it makes, marketing and all, like he was saying, it makes it look like it's easy. But when you really get into it and start designing and start laying out stuff, it's just a different world.
Because there's things that's missing when folks pass websites on to me from like Squarespace or Wix. It could be SEO stuff that's missing in there. Maybe they don't have a Google Analytics account that they've embedded that code into the site. There's still template copy in the site, so there's stuff still in there from when they first launched the site. So it'll be like Latin text still in the website that they didn't scrape out.
Okay, so we all know that nothing is free, and most people would love to get their website for free, and some people may even have gotten their sites initially for free, but then there's always a catch. And so with the WordPresses and the Banzoogles, we already know that it's not going to be free for the most part. You're going to be paying $15, $20, $25 a month regardless, so there's going to be a fee attached. The supposed attraction for these platform sites is that you can do it yourself, and you can manage it yourself, maintain it yourself. If somebody were to want to hire one of you guys to build a custom band website, how much would it cost? I take it your answer is you can't afford it.
It depends on the scope, actually.
First of all, I wouldn't do it. I'm so sorry. Please use Squarespace. It's just not what I do.
All right, it's not what you do. Brandon?
It depends on the scope. If it's like a basic website, like a 4-pager, or if they want to scale by adding like a e-commerce website, because that can be intense too sometimes.
Well, just the e-commerce functionality has its own costs and things like that, because you need a
Yeah.
merchant account,
Yeah.
and you need credit card processing and all that.
I think too, for the client, they kind of have to do their due diligence, because there's a difference between a designer and a developer. So someone could be great at designing a website, but when you talk about developing, like really customizing a site, then there's two different costs, two different.
Well, what would be a fair range? Like the cheapest possible website that you can imagine somebody actually getting a decent value for, and the most
website.
Sorry?
A single page website, a landing page.
Yeah.
Would be
Okay, and
But
how
I
much should
couldn't
how much
really
should somebody
give you
spend for that?
Well, when I first started, I was charging like $125 a page.
Yeah. That's
That was
great.
when I was starting.
That was then,
Now-
folks.
He's more of a developer. He go back in the back of the
Now-
code. I'm kind of more of a designer. I take a WordPress theme, modify it, cut it up. If you want the little man to dance across the screen, we'll make that happen. That type of thing. Like you said, a 4-page website, it may start at about 500. You know, it all depends on if I need to go to Florida or something real quick, get some money. but we would start something basic, not really basic like you would say, oh, this is a basic site, but a nice 4-page site about us, events, home, contact information. You can look at $400 to $500.
Maybe tour dates?
Tour dates, that type of thing. But if you're
Okay.
selling, like you said, if you're selling merchandise and you're really doing some in-depth stuff, you want Google Analytics set up to see where people are coming from. The more complex it gets, the more money it's going to
One
get.
thing I do for my clients, which we haven't talked about, is trying to help the client figure out what they actually need, and not allowing the project to bubble up into something that's, a money grab, but isn't necessarily going to help them reach the goals that they have in mind. So I think it's pretty helpful when you get into any conversation with any client is to truly understand what they're trying to achieve in that moment, and trying to achieve it to the best of your ability. I think a lot of people think they need a band website for maybe those 4 functionality purposes, but I think it can be a little bit more organic than that. Like, you have a new record coming out, you want to direct people to these streaming services, well, let's just focus on that first. Maybe let's not build out all the other stuff. I tend to abstract it a little bit more and almost keep my clients from asking for too much. Because again, you have to think about the users that are coming in. Are they really going to find value in all this shit that we're building? Does that plugin really make a difference? Probably not, I like to be honest in that sense,
Now, but if you build a custom website for somebody, is this going to be a website that they will be able to update themselves?
With WordPress, like you said you guys use, you can have a back-end login. You can go in and make changes, just like you would make changes to a Facebook page, update something. There's a lot of detailed stuff that you might not be able to understand, but if you want to change event dates or, change something, I got a new album coming, make an announcement, you can go in there and do that.
So do clients hire you to make their websites on WordPress or on Squarespace or on Bandzoogle, or just to do custom sites?
With me, it's WordPress.
Okay.
I'm a strictly WordPress guy. I'm not.
Why do you like WordPress so much?
The ease of use. I can use it wherever I am, wherever I'm at. I could be at a hotel somewhere, just pop on the back end and just make changes or update it or do what I have to do. It's quick, and I've been working at it so long, so I can kind of really just do it with my eyes closed. So it's just ease of use.
Now, Brandon, when you develop a site, does that imply that you're providing the client with a content management system that they can make changes to the data, they can add new features or new content or new information, or is it all stuff that has to be managed by a webmaster?
I try to build on like WordPress because the back end is very easy to use. But then I also try to add value to the client. So if it's data reporting each month or any new suggestions on how to scale, or, but I don't know. I don't know. I just think that, I don't know, man, because every client's different. I can't say, because I don't like to like leave people out there to just fend for themselves.
Right.
When
So,
it comes to
so you're building sites for people then on an established template like WordPress, and so that
I don't
takes away
say
the need to purchase a license for a whole separate content management system and design all sorts of stuff from scratch. So you can basically build stuff from items that are on the rack.
But I don't go into it with the idea of I'm gonna just set it and forget it. You know, like here's your stuff. Go ahead and do what you need to do. I kind of like try to guide them through this process because I know not everyone's experienced in these platforms because they could be seeing them for the first time and then they're like, well, this isn't Microsoft Word. This is something totally different, you know.
And what happens is, like I used to develop sites in HTML, and I would get these midnight calls. Can you change this? Can you do this? I'm like, nah, we're not happening. And so people would get really impatient. So you set up a system like a content management system where they could just go in the middle of the night or middle of the day and make their own changes. And you want to kind of, like you said, lead them. You don't want to just put them out there and say, here you go. But you want to set up a training time or a schedule where they can go in and learn how to do it, and they can take it from there.
But you use essentially WordPress
Yeah.
as the content management system.
yeah.
It's got the data in there. They can go change a tour date. They can add a new tour date.
Exactly.
They can post a new video.
Yeah, because it's like they have YouTube embed plugins. You put a plugin and they can show them how to change the code. And it's real simple these days.
They have the largest community, WordPress, so you can find support anywhere if something were to happen with your WordPress website.
But is the gist, as I take it, that when you have a client and they ask you for your help in building and designing a website for them, that you will also be delivering to them the keys so that they can go in and make the changes that they need to make on their own, so they don't have to depend on the services of a webmaster 24/7 when there is a new tour date at 3 in the
That's
morning.
usually the first thing they ask. Can I change things? I'm like, yeah, you'll be able to change all the content. You won't have to alter the design in any way. Now there are built-in customizers where you can change the color, change the typography, and maybe move some things around, but like the overall skeleton, you won't be able to change.
All right, well, let's look at a few more websites here, shall we? So I asked you guys, that one is Ben Zugel. All right, so let's go down the row. So I asked you each to send me the URLs of websites that you do like and that you don't. And so, Lee, we'll start with you. This was one on your list of sites that you like. So this is STEM. I don't know what STEM is.
Oh yeah, sorry. This is, if you're an independent artist, it's less about a website. I think that's what a lot of my list was. Less about band websites, more about things you should know as an independent artist.
Okay, so talk about this website. What is it? Why did you put this on your list?
Well, STEM, I've been doing some work with these guys. They're just a distribution channel, like TuneCore, except they're doing some really interesting things around contracts. So if you're an artist who has a song with multiple people on the track, different publishers, things like that, you set up the contracts in their system, and basically the ones and zeros of your streaming data get passed through, and everyone gets paid accordingly. Super sharp stuff, and a really nice team.
Okay, so this is the site of a music distribution service,
Absolutely.
like a TuneCore,
Yeah.
or I guess a CD Baby.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, one thing about Squarespace's, Bandzoogl's, it helps to know who's running these companies, who's on their teams, check their about sections. If they actually are in it for artists, that's a pretty good sign that they're going to answer your support requests and be willing to hear any of your complaints. This is a good example of a company like that.
All right, so you wanted us to know about this service, not necessarily about the design of their site.
And that's right, even though I do like that green.
But as a site, it's modern, it's clean, it's fairly
enough.
spare.
Yep.
All right, so let's see. This is the other one of the other ones that you wanted folks to know about. So this is Twilio. Why did you want us to know about this?
Again, another like really interesting tool. One topic that I'm super interested in is defensibility of communication.
What do you mean by defensibility of communication?
So again, the social networks, you've created communities there, and you can pay to hit everyone that you've created there. But what you're really looking for these days is a good newsletter. And Twilio is actually kind of like a telephony API. So if you want to text your fans, they built some pretty incredible, very simple systems that allow you to sort of set that kind of stuff up. Pretty cool. Because to me, like an email is incredible and much more powerful than a social post will ever be. But a text or an automated phone call is kind of even more intimate. And I've used it in a lot of my campaigns. So if you look and your phone's ringing, you pick it up, and there's some sort of message from an artist, that is much more impactful to me than receiving a post in a stream or an email in an inbox. Much more direct, but still automated.
Robocalls are intimate. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, if you do it the right way. Yeah.
Hi, this is Tom Petty, and I'd really like you to buy my new song.
I'll give you an example.
Okay, please.
Yeah. So we built a website. It was actually for Tom Petty, but he passed on it. So we did it for a band called
He passed on?
He passed on it.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, he did pass on, though.
Yes, he
RIP.
did.
I actually own Tom Petty, rest in peace, and Tom Petty live. We weren't sure if he was gone or not in that moment, so I registered both websites to put something nice up there for him. So I had originally wrote an idea for Tom. He passed on it, and Little Dragon took it. And basically what we built was a website with a video of Yukimi, the lead singer, and she was sitting on a chair next to a phone. And it was on loop, so she was just kind of sitting there. And a little message came up, and it said, Yukimi has something really important to tell you, but she forgot your phone number. Can you put it in here? So then you typed your phone number in, and your phone started ringing in the real world. And when you picked it up, Yukimi picked up the phone in the video, and she started talking, but you heard her through your phone. And the idea was that we could call, I think it was 15,000 fans, without having Yukimi call anybody. And that was quite intimate in the end.
All right, that's dope. I like that.
Okay, I had a good saving.
All right.
So that's
Wait,
the
so
technology
you
that we
offered
use.
Tom Petty the option of doing that phone call bit, and he passed on it?
Tom was he was playing two groups of shows, residencies in New York and LA, and the idea was
That was when he did the Beacon and the Ford theaters.
exactly, yes. So the idea was he just needed an idea to kind of tell a story of Tom's connection with places, and the original idea was based around phone booths, which still exist in some cases. And what's interesting about phone booths is they have numbers attached to them. So it's kind of like a phone number that you can call that's also attached to a physical location because it's there and stuck there. And there was this LA Weekly map that came out that plotted Tom's tour history as it related to venues in LA. So it was pretty simple. Tom was going to tell stories that you could only hear if you called a number from one of the phones near one of the venues, right? But I'm a realist. There's no way anyone would have done this. So I was kind of building in a lesson or an educational piece to this campaign where we would have started to teach people that a phone was an important part of this campaign. And the original idea was Tom standing at a phone booth with a similar message, Tom has something really important to tell you. And he was down for it. We even found the phone booth closest to his house in Malibu, but it just didn't happen in the end. And that idea wasn't used for 2 years. It was passed on by, I would say, at least 10 artists before Little Dragon was like, yeah, fuck it, we'll do it. And we did it. Like in a week, we did it.
And it worked.
It was huge for them, yes.
Well, all right. Well, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to have gotten a phone call from Tom Petty.
Sure.
Too bad it
But
didn't happen.
Twilio is the infrastructure. I mean, this is a very confusing website. But they also have, it's a really incredible infrastructure if you're trying to obtain mobile numbers and communicate in that way. So while a robocall is pretty creepy, even though we've used it in those purposes as well, it's an interesting tactic.
All right. And why did you put MailChimp?
Same reason. I mean, defensibility of communication. MailChimp just has a nice website, but you got to have a newsletter. We're talking a lot about websites.
So I still don't know what you mean by defensibility of communication.
Defensibility of communication is we put a lot of value in building social followings, but the social followings can be taken from us at any moment, like we talked about, these networks sort of closing down. The algorithm can be changed, so we have to pay to actually post to people. The difference in this is you own it, it's your emails, and the communication goes directly to the user. It's not put in a feed. It's sort of the in-between, whereas I think the cellular stuff is obviously the most intimate. The email is a nice second in terms of getting a message there.
And the last
one
one
thing
your-
on his last two websites, if you notice, the messaging is clear and there's calls to action. So it's like the sign up buttons are very clear and prominent on the website. So if there's something that you want to promote, it's always clear to have your calls to action visible on the page. So like for instance here where it's the get a free API key.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the calls to action are very clear and the messaging is clear.
Absolutely. I mean, when people visit your website, clarity, but I think you would also agree, like, one action to take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And we're going to assume that these are websites built by companies that have tens of thousands of dollars, or if not
just
millions.
tens of thousands of dollars. I think it's tens of thousands of people who are just in charge of that problem. Conversion on the front page.
Right, but these are highly commercial sites with lots of
Yes.
money, and they can do anything that they want. So they're probably not using Ben Zoogle.
God, this fucking.
All right, and why did you put United Masters on your list?
Oh, because I didn't like it. But I
The
don't
site or
really-
the company?
There's a weird promise. This is a label-ran, anti-label social construct for artists that I think is going to become more popular. And I think the promise that they're making here is that if you connect your social presences to it, they're going to analyze your reach and give you suggestions on what to do to make a bigger impact. But I wrote a pretty lengthy post, I'll pass it around later, about these like Messiah complex promising websites that were just like, we are the future, this is it. There's actually been quite a lot of those in the website templating space too that never even got off the ground. Typically when you see a lot of that stuff, gold text, black background, I would be a little wary of the things that they're promising.
If it says gold text, black background, I thought that meant it's the Saints.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Okay.
DidTheSaintsWin.com.
All right, so let's get back to more websites. All right, so Brandon, let's get to the list of URLs that you sent. So this is Uber, which everybody is familiar with, I'm sure. Maybe not so much their website, perhaps.
Yeah, the messaging is clear. The call to action is very clear. The typography is clean. They use a lot of icons. So not only photographs, but just icons. And then you can kind of get a clear sense of their color palette, which is nice.
It's a nice looking website.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that.
And you can almost, when you get a sense of how this website is designed, you can get a sense of it being mobile responsive, because it's very like column row. But yeah,
All right, very linear. All right, so the next one is Airbnb.
same thing with Airbnb. Call to action. They're using a parallax feature on the background where it's, well, not really parallax.
Is that what makes the picture seem to float?
Yeah, in the background, so it gives you like a spatial effect. The call to action is very clear.
And there are three main.
Yeah, that's sort of like the sub-nav. You can kind of consider it a sub-nav.
So you can rent an apartment, you can sign up for one of their tours, or you can book a reservation in a restaurant.
Right. So that could be something like tour dates, shop.
Right. Okay.
merchandise.
So, but again, another nice, clean, modern, very. I thought you would put Apple on your list, but I didn't write it
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
All right, but this is another one.
Same
This is
thing.
Pixar.
And
So-
if you see a lot of sites like this, most likely they're going to be using a framework called Bootstrap. It's basically a styling framework that gives you this sort of style. And it's very clear typography. It's clean.
So this to me actually looks like a website that was built for a 4-year-old, because it's
So
big
this is actually a
fat buttons.
Squarespace website.
How can you tell?
Well, this is a secret. So if you go to this website, it's called myip.ms. You can actually search and find the top like 500 Squarespace websites. So if you want to see what other people are doing, just use that tool, and you can find like the top 100 Squarespace websites and take a look at whatever template they're using, the typography, and get a sense of it. And Pixar was like number 46, I think, in the list.
Does Apple use Squarespace?
No, they don't use Squarespace.
Apple built a custom website?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Shocking. Okay. All right, so let's see. What's this? All right, so now
This
we're
is
on
a
to the.
Squarespace website. I didn't like it. The typography.
Okay, so now we're looking. We're starting your list of websites that you don't
I
like.
don't
so
like.
tell us why you don't like
the dark
Joe Rogan.
theme, I don't like it. If I'm viewing this on the phone, I won't be able to see it, so I have to turn my brightness up. It's like just the layout is it's not good to me.
Well, I never understand websites that have a picture in the back that is covered
very
over.
MySpace like, where it's that's like old MySpace. Fix the background to the
And some pictures are just obnoxious.
yeah. I know.
All
See
right.
the typography. The text is very small. It's not easy to read.
No, and big, huge blocks of type on a screen
yeah,
like that
it
are
almost
also
looks
annoying.
like they're using drop shadows on the font.
Uh-huh.
I would avoid that
Right.
because that's
Oh, and they're bragging that it's a Squarespace site.
Yeah.
Nice.
and
All right.
and what you want to do sometimes is remove the branding from the templating website that you're using.
I think you have to
annoys
pay
me.
extra for that, though.
You do, but I think it looks professional. It's little things like that could throw people off.
All right. So this is another site that you don't like.
I
Tell
don't
us why.
like it because the font is too small. There's no real direction. If you make this mobile responsive, the imagery is still full up and the navigation is aligned in a weird way.
All right. So what happens if you click on the nav? It takes you
And
straight
then
to
it pushes
Spotify.
them to Spotify. I'm sure if he were to post his music to the site, it would keep everyone in the site because you want to track every user that comes.
But every
to
time
the-
you click on one of his nav buttons, it takes you off the site.
Yeah, that's a horrible user experience. You want to keep all of your users on your website if you can, because then you can track where folks are coming from, what they're clicking on, how they're navigating your website, and the actions that they're taking during their visit.
Look at
'Cause
that. Post
everything's-
Malone's tour has a pre-sale password of Rockstar. What are the odds?
And
That went over everybody's head.
everything's trackable on your website, so you can track how many times someone clicks on a certain event.
Right.
Because you want to use data to make business decisions.
All right, so his shopping link takes you off-site as well?
Yeah.
So,
yes.
all right, so is this just me, or is that a sign of laziness?
That's a bad user experience.
I think it's acceptable.
It's acceptable.
Well, the thing about the videos especially, a lot of people watch videos on YouTube. And with the YouTube interface comes a well-tailored video experience, one that lots of engineers are working on.
But if
that
he
has
wants
all
people to
the-
watch his video, why not just put a YouTube embed on his own site?
Because with YouTube, you also get the social functionality of where that video goes next, you know? So in the off chance that they want to share it, I think they're more likely to share it if it's within the YouTube interface.
All right, Brandon, why do you not like this website?
For a hotel website, it's really bad.
Why?
So this masthead image at the top is just kind of floating in space. Usually you want that. Most of the times you would see no mark or no padding, so it would go from border to border or edge to edge.
So the fact that there's a white border around the photo, you don't like that?
I don't like that, and you can kind of tell that they cut out the logo.
Photoshop.
With the
Yes.
with the green edge.
All right.
For a hotel website, I would think this would be done a lot better than.
All
I
right.
think what the hotel needs to ask is, are people booking rooms?
Yeah.
And if people are booking rooms, I mean, it could be a brutalist website, as long as that job's being done. It's hard, like, design is a tricky one, but the web is pretty straightforward. It's about conversion, you know? If you're
Yeah.
building a website that's supposed to book rooms and rooms are being booked, then you're doing it right. If you build a website for a band, you just want people to listen to your music and they're doing it, you could be doing it right, you know?
Yeah.
There's some design best practices, but you also need to live within the realities of the conversion. I suspect that they're booking hotel rooms. If not, they're probably going to change that. But it's probably not the front page. It's probably the booking phase.
Yeah.
It's probably when you get to the room, which is their most important page.
Right.
People might argue that their website should only be a button that says book a room, you know?
Well, I suspect that when these guys built this site, they all said to themselves, man, that's a cool website.
And
Yeah, sure.
and what I would do is I would actually move book your stay down to right under the headline, you know, say book your stay, and there's a button like right there, you know.
But yeah, one really interesting tactic is to like almost think of your web experience kind of like wireframe, as if it would have been void of any imagery, any aesthetic, and just think about what the user's trying to achieve when they get there. And you can simulate that too by showing your website to people, but not leading them on. Show them your website, see them go through it, and actually see if they can find what they're looking for. This hotel website, no doubt, puts people in front of their website, and the first thing they're going to think is, well, let me find some information, but let me book. Do I know how to book? Yes, it's that button. Okay, I'll do that.
I mean, I get your point about how the book your stay button, if it was right here in the middle underneath the headline, it might get your attention more, but I mean, honestly, people are used to seeing a nav bar, and if it's clear that it's book your stay is up here in the nav, I mean, people are going to find it.
Yeah, we talk about that too. Patterns, UX patterns, UI patterns. Don't fight against what people already understand.
All right, so you also sent over this URL, youngmoneyhq.com. We think that
must
this
be
is
a
not
good
the
one.
actual label website, but a fan website.
Yeah, I believe it's a fan page. It's very. It looks old. The style of it is old. It's functional. I've noticed it's not responsive. So, if I'm sure, I'm almost positive they probably have maybe 60-70% of their users, mobile users, because they have a lot of influence on the web or on social media. So if this were to be changed to more of a mobile responsive style website, I think there can be some improvements. But it's like the
Oh my
blog.
God.
The blog
Look at how
is
much
the-
space
the-
they spend on their archive.
Yeah, Yeah.
What could possibly be in their archives?
And
Now
I mean,
I'm
they're
curious.
they're engaged. You can definitely sense there's some engagement there, but I think stylistically they can definitely improve it.
Wow. All right. Well,
And
I definitely agree that as websites go, it's not the most attractive.
There's also sophisticated tools out there. There's one called Crazy Egg, which is like a heat mapping tool where you can see how far people venture down the page, or what they click on based on their source, or where they come from. It costs a little bit of money, but if you can't really get a sense of how people are navigating your website through Google Analytics, you can definitely use Crazy Egg to do it.
Interesting. All right. And Brandon, let's get over to some of the sites that you sent over.
Alrighty. I
So
don't
you
have
like
that many
Amy
sites,
Mann.
about
Why?
4 or 5. Yeah, I like this site because everything is up front. It's above the fold, like we say. You don't have to scroll down. You could watch the trailer.
There's no scrolling. It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah. The menus at the top. So it's like a landing page thing, but I like that it has the iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, everything right there.
But this is a landing page because it says enter the site over
Yeah.
here.
So,
And so what
kind
happens
of
if you do that?
contradicting myself, huh? I like that landing page.
But it's interesting that
Everybody else is suck.
so this is her actual site.
Yeah,
So
her
that was
actual
just the
site.
landing page.
But
And how do you like this?
I don't like that color, but it matches her color scheme of the album and stuff. But I like everything that's right up in the front. That's my main thing that I took away from this site, is that everything is up top, and it's the business right there in the front of your face. And look, she has good contact information. You even have a management company.
Yes, she does. All right. Well,
Okay.
so she's clearly not as big as Drake.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was Kanye. I beg your pardon. All right, Ray LaMontagne, why do you like this site?
Because he has his tour dates pre-order button. So I think that's big with musicians. If you're coming out with something, you want to check your vibe and see if people are really going to dig it. You have your pre-order stuff out there. Then he has his current tour dates. The dates are current, what's coming up in May, April, and all that good stuff. And I like the way it moves, the font, and it's just a free, open feel on this site.
Now, it feels like a landing page, but it doesn't have any other navigation except for taking you off-site.
Damn landing page.
2 landing pages.
He's a hypocrite. You just said you don't like him.
I didn't send a single landing page, and I love landing pages.
But so this says tour.raylamontagne. What happens if you take that out?
It routes you to. It routes you to.
Don't
his,
even think
It
about
takes you
it.
right back.
Yeah.
So this
Got you locked in.
that's
yeah.
it. All right. So in that sense, this is like a website with exactly 2 purposes: buy my record,
Yeah.
buy a ticket to see my
Buy a
show.
ticket.
That's it.
And sign up.
Yeah, and sign up. Yeah, don't forget the old sign up.
Right. But it doesn't.
And you can catch us on all these socials and
You
our
can-
label
Social.
website
Gotcha.
logo.
Right. But
So-
if I, you know,
You trying to book him now?
if I'm the talent buyer for Madison Square Garden, then theoretically I know who his booking agent is and I can make that phone call.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm booking the Lusher Crawfish Boil and I wanted Ray LaMontagne, because as we know they do, it's going to be tough because I'm not going to be able to find that
Exactly.
contact.
So one thing with pages like this, if there is an intent for users to pre-order now, and you're running a campaign around it, you want to test that page. So let's say you want to just do a test for a week to see if people are clicking on the pre-order now button, where maybe you need to change something on that page that the users can maybe engage with, because they call it A/B testing, but you want to make sure that people are converting when they get to your website.
All right,
and
Brandon,
I
you
just-
said that you think this 2Chainz site is goofy. Is that a
Yeah.
good goofy or bad goofy?
It's a bad goofy. Just the whole thing, the zebra stripe. When I went to the site, I really didn't know what was going on. I see that he's trying to sell his music and stuff, but I just think it's just. And then on the mobile side, it's just horrible.
I'm not crazy about this
And
dark
and
black
everything is below
background.
the fold. Everything is. I know. I like 2Chainz, but everything is below the fold compared to other people that has everything up front. And then that scrolling down, folks just don't have time for all that, man. Just
All
where
right.
I'm at
And
as a
again,
person.
no contact information.
Yeah, I suspect Mr. Chains has never seen this website. You know, like he lives on Instagram. Like that's his
Yeah.
platform. This is probably
Yeah.
the label covering their butts and representing what they have to. But the
All right.
real victim here is definitely that tour section.
Now they have this tiny little login button over here. Why would somebody need to log in to his website?
What label is this?
Maybe he has
this
a
is
membership
Def
section.
Jam.
Maybe exclusive content.
Well, what happens?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
A lot of labels do data management now for our artists. So when you register, you just get pulled into.
This is just to subscribe to the mailing list, or so it says. It doesn't look like you
Exactly.
get anything special.
Yeah, this means that the label is also maintaining his communications.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Let's see. This is Diddy.
Diddy.
Why did you give us this one?
What did I say about this? Oh, it was a great concept for a person that has a lot going on. Now, if you scroll up back to the top and go to menu, he has everything. He has his liquor, he has the music, the shoe, the clothes, the
Oh, look. Contact
know.
Diddy.
Contact Diddy. He has a video,
Send us a note with your feedback.
and if you scroll down on the homepage, he has it broken down into sections and stuff. Past the video, but he has all the different. It's like almost like a blog of the universe, which is Diddy. So I do like that. And some bands, they would have a lot of stuff going on as time goes on. So this is a good use, to me, of a way a person having a lot of stuff going on in their little universe, putting it in a clear, concise way that we can all understand it. There's a site called Foreign Exchange. I think that was the next one. Click that. That one. That's just too much going on. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if I'm ordering music. I don't know if I'm getting takeout. I don't know what's happening.
If you're getting takeout, good luck finding the menu.
And the guy, Fonte, he has a new album, but nowhere on the homepage. This album is out like,
This is Fontaine's website?
yeah, yep. He has a new album,
Whoa.
and guess what? You don't even know it. It doesn't say, hey, this is a new album. Da, da, da.
It's
So-
obvious that he's also a lifestyle.
So you got to go to Fonte.
And it's just a lot going on with this.
So this is a label website? Foreign Exchange?
I think Foreign Exchange, if I'm not mistaken, Foreign Exchange is like. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and I was looking for his particular site just to check him out, and they brought me to this, and I was like, wow, this is a lot to digest.
All right. And then we already looked at Mr.
Oh,
Kanye.
yeah, that
All
one.
right.
Jeez.
Never mind. All right, so we're done with that. Okay. All right.
I think we should dive into this Kanye website.
Let's go back to Kanye. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Could you use the microphone if you don't mind? Except the people listening to the stream can't hear you.
There's this dichotomy that we face as artists. First, I have a comment. Why would you not show us pages of artists that you don't like? That's what we want to see. We want to see our page, our Squarespace space format that you hate.
We're getting there.
Let's change it. No, I'm saying the
Oh.
message y'all sent in should have all been bands. I wish they would have all been bands.
Gotcha.
But my question is, this is great that you're on the panel. He's a booker, and we have fans, right? I'm under the belief that most of our fans, most of them, are following us on their favorite platform, be it Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah.
Twitter, whatever. And they
MySpace.
seldomly go to our website, unless you said they want to buy some product or
Yeah.
something. But the people who go to our developing artist websites are bookers, and they want to see this clean. And you've got a very old school, like, where are the tour dates, where's this, where's that. Whereas the person that really likes my music, they don't want to see all that. And that's not what they're going there for.
Yeah.
So how do we
Keep
bridge
it
those
balanced.
gaps as to the booker is looking on their
Isn't that what social media is for?
Your question, right, but they overlap. And I like how your idea is, what is it for?
Mhm.
So how do we decide whether we're going for the booker or going for the fan?
I think there's a happy medium. I mean, the newsletter is by far the best. If you can get fans to your website and actually convert them into newsletter subscribers, then at some point you're effectively sending them like a small tailored website with the exact information that you want them to have. But I would not sweat the website too much, especially if you live within those realities and can see the data of where your fans actually are. You know, it doesn't take much to put Google Analytics on your website and to look at the traffic. And if you know that only 50 people are coming to your website in a month, then live within that reality. And if you want to drive more people there, understand who you're driving, see if they're actually coming, and convert them how you expect that you're going to convert them, you know, fans to a newsletter. I think you can show the information that's required. If you know that bookers are going to your website, have the booking information there. But there could also be another channel where the bookers could get in touch with you via contact, so it's not so busy. It's just a way to talk to you. One thing we didn't talk about, which I think is really interesting, which my friend Patrick Crilly, I just got him involved in, is a website called Intercom. Now, Intercom is too expensive for anybody, even for Patty. He got the startup package. But it's really interesting. You may have seen it on the web before. It's like a little bubble that lives in the bottom right corner of your website. And when someone clicks it, they can talk to you. And as soon as they send a message, you'll get an email. Now, there's nothing more direct than an actual conversation. And if you're not a huge artist, like obviously Kanye can't put a bubble on his website that goes straight to him. But if you're just trying to maintain information exchange and you don't feel like your website is meeting expectations, that's the simplest way, you know. It's kind of like the new version of the contact page. Contact means you're contacting me. And I think when people ask for certain things, you begin to develop patterns of understandings as to what they're actually looking for. So the bubble's there. I can't find your music, I'm gonna put it in the bubble, you know? I can't find that, I'm gonna put it in the bubble. I will be surprised to see which artist uses Intercom first. I would love to like work with a developing artist and use that as the communication channel, because I think it's totally a game changer. It's how I do all of my software development now, because it's so hard to build like a website that's supposed to convert on a promise, and understanding how people are actually using it. The bubble's there. The bubble can even pop up and say, hello, hi, it's me, the artist. So glad you're here.
Booking, or if you're like you can distinguish between a booking, person who's booking and a fan.
Exactly. Like, yeah, and have a totally different type of relationship with them.
So you can actually create that same experience using a Facebook Messenger bot. So you can actually embed a Facebook button on there, and if you program it properly, you can have the Messenger bot respond on how the user responds to whatever question you ask in the Messenger.
I certainly take your point, especially the part about me being old school, because I'm not just old school, I'm just old. And so, yes, I have certain ways of doing things that I'm comfortable with, but I'm not entirely sure that I agree that that people who are just fans who want to hear your music are really looking for a completely different experience than the people that are bookers are looking for. Because if your music is there, if it's all there and clean and easy to find, but what do I know? I mean, I would think that the same thing should
Yeah.
appeal.
From experience, your fans are watching your live stream on Instagram. They know where you live. They know where you're from. They know what you're doing daily. So my Instagram live followers, I don't know why they would ever go to my website until my album comes out, if that's
Mhm.
where I'm pushing people to go buy my album from. That's it, to buy something from me. But as far as like getting to know me, knowing my bio and like all that wants to read that.
Well, I go back to the point that we made earlier, and I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the session.
I'm watching y'all on Facebook.
Well, there you go. But, well, we talked about how there are certain things that social media is for,
Right.
especially that daily intimate communication, and websites are like the evergreen presence that are a business card and a portfolio primarily. So it may be functional for a fan to find your music there, but it may not be that perfect intimate experience that you're talking about. But that's what Instagram is for. That's what Facebook is for, and Twitter and all that.
Because 3D Nati does it every day, almost. She wakes up, says, good morning,
Through which platform?
Instagram.
Okay, there you go.
And then she's like, here's my new freestyle. You can find it on 3dnati.com. Like, she
But-
drills it, like,
So connecting the two where I'm telling you about it,
Yeah.
but you gotta go to my website.
yeah, and she's like very consistent. Like,
Yeah.
it's like almost
good consistency.
every day.
Not link in the bio, click here to get it, but go to my website. to
Yeah,
get it.
and then she always ends like a video with it just like bold, like 3dnati.com.
And, you know, we've done other panels at Sync Up on converting social media followers into not just fans, but ticket buyers or album buyers. And one of the things that came up over and over and over again was that people have to build a relationship with you and know all sorts of personal details about you and get the sense that you know personal details about them, so that by the time you finally do come out with a concert ticket or an album, they're much more likely to plop down a credit card and purchase something from you because they know you, they trust you, and they feel that you understand something about them. That may be something that you can do much more easily through social media than you can through your website. But that's, we were talking at the beginning, it's not an either or. You have to have an all of the above approach.
And if whatever link you put out there to the public, make sure that you're tracking it. So if you're doing like, click the link in the bio to go to my website, there's something that I usually put on the end of the link, which is called a UTM parameter, where you can actually see, okay, if this comes in as traffic, then I know it came from Instagram, or if it came from Facebook.
All right, give us your URL. Come on.
Come on, come on.
Well, let's do this. Okay, your website came up first in the Google search.
Number one.
Number one.
You asked for it. That's what we're here for.
Nice landing page.
Wait.
Well,
I couldn't
parallax.
hear that. Say that. Again.
Nice landing page.
It's not landing, because see,
Well, it's not really a
scroll
landing
down.
page, no. A little parallax.
The pictures are nice.
Yeah,
what
the
did, what
picture's
did you use
beautiful.
to build this? Of course you did. So easy.
How long did it take?
Hold on, I have, it's a story.
I got you.
Talk in the mic.
I'm sorry. So, I'm like years, I've been working on this. So the first website was on Wix. I will definitely say that was the most experience. Then I like kind of talked to a designer developer and they were like, oh, try Squarespace, it's much more user friendly. So then I started Squarespace on my own, and then I got to the point where I don't have time to do it. So
Did
I
you build
have
this yourself?
No, somebody else built this now, but they took my Squarespace and now they pretty much. Now I do
Customize
use.
it.
I logged in when you guys were talking about, I think like the tour dates, the band manager, those things.
Yeah,
Do you
bands in
guys-
town.
Do you guys promote that? Not promote that? Because that's the way I update my site. I only update like my bands in town. I
Yeah.
might change a YouTube video, but as far as like when it's reconfigured, I send it to somebody. I send them the photos. I make a Dropbox of all the content I want, and they make it happen.
Yeah.
But so the bands in town things, are you guys pro or con? Pro.
I'm cool with it.
I'm
I
pro.
think syndication is, it's definitely a benefit to you, because they're
Yeah.
going to put it in other
We talked
places
about
as
bands in
well.
town in the context of different aggregators,
Right.
like Reverb Nation and SoundCloud. Well, I guess not SoundCloud, but Reverb Nation. What was the other? Bandcamp, those kinds of things. Personally, I'm not in favor of the Reverb Nation and the Bandcamp. I would rather you be.
Pretty not in existence a lot anymore, I've been told.
Right. I mean, I think that this is
It's a very nice website.
it's real
Yeah,
pro.
It is.
This may not be where your
responsive?
fans go, but if I was looking at this website, I would book you.
That's-
Oh, it's too
so
late,
as of
already
right
did that.
now- As of right now, that's what it's promoted for, is only for like, when the people are booking, they go here, see a good photo, but
Yeah.
there is something that's not working. It's just not working, I don't know why.
Something, well,
I could definitely say when I get here and I want to book you, I would make it clear on the homepage.
Like a book now button.
Yeah.
well, but, I think your point is really well taken, though.
Form.
Because what you understand and what your managers understand is the distinction between who you're talking to. So if your purpose for this website is specifically for gigs, you want talent buyers to know that this is the place where they go to find out who your booking agent is and hire you for gigs. And you've got your media, but on the homepage, you've already got your tour dates, and you're showing me easily who your contact is. I mean, this is what I'm looking for as a buyer. Is this the same thing that your rabid fans are looking for? Maybe not. But you understand that, and you're able to build the two platforms for those discrete audiences, it seems to me.
Right, so I guess my dilemma would be, if I'm doing the 3D and the T thing and doing a daily thing, how do I embed that in my site without distracting somebody like him? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Maybe a little.
I mean, I wouldn't put that there. I wouldn't put that like visceral live representation. Leave that on the social network.
some
Yeah.
people are like, you need your Twitter box, or you need your, but
Mm.
sometimes I say
Oh.
things that I don't necessarily want popping
Right.
up
Yeah.
on my page. Like,
No,
if
I
I'm-
think this
Right,
well
that's the personal
represents you.
stuff. That doesn't
Yeah.
need to be on your website.
Right.
I think the opposite will happen, you know. I think fans might find this website and then follow through to your socials. So maybe
So-
making that a bit more clear.
Well, yeah, so that's
From the
one thing that
top.
I'm not seeing is socials. Are they on here?
At the bottom.
Oh, all the way at the bottom. So maybe put them closer to the top so the
top.
fans will know to find you there.
Right.
And also the newsletter.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a sign up, a
And my
newsletter sign up?
I do MailChimp
Yeah.
like monthly,
Uh-huh.
and that goes to my MailChimp. And then I've also just recently started doing this like text number to get
Mhm.
on my MailChimp that I stole from Waterseed. But I didn't know if that was the place on the website to actually display the newsletter, like the monthly newsletter.
You know, I just redesigned my site. Like, I never redesign it. It's always there, and I get the same sorts of messages. Why is this so out of date? That kind of stuff. Why are these links dead? When I redesigned it this most recent time, I just put a button that links to the latest newsletter because I knew what it best represented what I was currently doing. So there's a button that allows people to sign up, but there's also a button that allows them to read it. Now it goes to the actual newsletter, so it's just sort of this consumable. But I love that. I mean, to me, someone who's busy, who wants to put out a certain type of story every now and then, I'd rather just link to that than attempt to try and do it within my website.
I think it's a clean site. I like it. I really
Yeah.
do. It's a
Do you
beautiful site.
do you monitor your site traffic too?
Occasionally, I'm not like, I don't have time.
But you
But
can get
occasionally
emails,
I'll go
like
in
you
and I'll
said.
look and see, I have, because I know as I keep growing, the bookers are gonna wanna know if I have fans in their region. And so my analytics and all that is set up. I'm just not proactively like,
Right.
hey, I should be going to Toronto. I'm not on it like that. Not yet.
Right.
Not yet.
Because you can set yourself up with an email, like every week or every Friday, that gives you your analytics and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. With on Google Analytics, you can just set it up however you want the data to come to you, and you can just break it down and so.
You're
you don't
doing
have
a
to go
gig
out
at
and get it, it
Esplanade
comes to you.
Studio?
Yes, this Sunday.
Just,
You have to get the tickets online.
I see that, but it's a show at the studio.
It's a live recorded show. Yeah.
Oh, well, since you built this site for talent buyers, can I give you a little pro tip?
Yes.
See this March 3rd gig? That was booked by, me. Armstrong Park is the venue where it happened. The event is not Armstrong Park. The
Right,
event was
so
the Congo
that's
Square
the-
Rhythms Festival.
The problem with that plugin or that embed is it asks you the location. It doesn't necessarily ask you a title of the event. So there are like pros and cons to using these,
That's what Brandon told me that.
the bands in town. It doesn't have, well, as far as like, but if I were to use Tourbox, Songkick, Tourbox?
Yeah,
I think-
Songkick. I just
I
worked
think
there.
it does it does have the name of the festival versus,
Yeah.
but I just haven't been able to. It's easier, Bands in Town embeds into my website better than Songkick, but Songkick goes on Spotify. It's like so much,
Yeah.
it's
I-
so complicated.
I know
Well,
that
ju-
Songkick just recently put a whole new development team on just the Tourbox product. So they're starting to roll out new updates.
Yeah.
So I would definitely pay attention
Pay
to
attention
it.
to
Yeah.
Because it's hard having to update both.
Yep.
Just because Spotify has so many users and you want your date to show up on Spotify, but Songkick and your website is just not as clean, not as
Well,
pretty.
that's interesting. But just so that you
Sorry, yes.
no,
it
just so
was-
you know, because what talent buyers do, or at least what I do,
Right.
if I book a show with you, I'm gonna and
You
as
wanna
far as
see
I'm
your
concerned,
name on my
well,
fest-
as
on
well
my-
as far as I'm concerned, it's confirmed on my end.
Mhm.
If I look on your website and I see it, then I know that even if the contract hasn't been signed, I know that the show is confirmed on your end because you're
Right.
planning on being there. And I'm gonna
Do
hope.
you really look at that? Because I may not have put that in until the day before.
Well, no, I do, absolutely.
right.
Like especially if it's somebody that we're paying $40,000 for, we
Right.
want to know that they have it confirmed.
Right.
And when you look at their website and you see that your event name is not listed, you're like, well, now we're not really getting the fair promotion because that's a big artist, they have a big name, we want the benefit of our event name linked with
On
that
their
artist.
website, right.
So it's not just, for, vanity. It's basically to get a sense of where we fit in the
Right.
overall scheme of things. So, but I don't know, but I think you're getting thumbs up on this website from this panel.
So one thing most people may not know about, it's something technical. Google has this thing about sites that don't have a SSL certificate.
Yeah.
And you can tell if you click into the search bar.
Search bar up here?
Yeah. If you click on that little, I, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll let you know that the site doesn't have a SSL certificate. And what's happening with Google and search is that for sites that have a SSL certificate, they get a higher ranking in search. So if this is a Squarespace website, you should be able to buy one. They're usually like $10 for a year, but that can improve your SEO a little bit just by securing it with the SSL certificate. And that's usually just encryption stuff. So even if you want to sell stuff on the website, but they're using that as a level of importance for all sites that are coming up in search on the search engine.
All right. Well, let's look at a couple of more websites, shall we? Thank you, Kiana. All right, let's see. Okay, so here's one. So this is now, we're switching to a list of URLs that were submitted to us via Facebook from local bands here in New Orleans. So this is a band called Smoke and Bones, and this is their website. You guys haven't seen this before, right?
No.
So I'm navigating this website, and they have these pretty pictures in the background, but you notice that when I scroll, all of their features cover up all the pictures, and I can't see them anymore. And I'm wondering why the pictures are there. Any other thoughts on the design or functionality of the site from what you guys can see?
Well, one thing they have is at the bottom you can buy a song. That's pretty cool.
Just this buy button right
Yeah,
here.
the buy button. That's I hope it's bringing some revenue. They do have it's a secure site, but that I don't know how it would look on mobile with this picture in the background. How it would, what it would look like, but it's okay.
Well, what would
not-
you
it's
do
not
with,
worse.
I mean, so they've got these pictures, they're obviously proud of the pictures, and they want people to see what they look
Yeah, I
like,
would-
but you can only see them,
Yeah.
and not even all of them, when you're at the top
Yeah,
of the
I
homepage.
wouldn't have that, but
So let's navigate around here. So, all right, so this basically, the navigation puts the modules at the bottom of the page,
yeah.
and it still leaves the homepage features visible. All right.
I think it's good on mobile. Everything's clear and concise. The calls to action are clear. I guess in mobile, maybe this is their intent, but the join our mailing list, I guess that's the level of importance. So they have it like at the very top.
On the mobile side, also
On the
on the PC side as well.
Yeah, it's like at the very top. So I don't know if that's their immediate call to action, but
Seems like it.
yeah. So yeah.
All right, well, let's see. All right, well, they're working, that's for sure. Okay, so that was Smoke and Bones. Let's look at, all right, John Papagro, well-known New Orleans-based organ player, funk, R&B musician. He's got homepage photo features. What happens if you click on one of these? All right, it just takes you to the next picture.
I like these newsletters. Sign-ups up top.
So newsletter sign up at the top. We like that.
I do
So we're
like that.
capturing people's email addresses.
I don't like those social buttons all the way at the top.
You don't.
I mean,
You do or
that's-
don't?
That's pretty intense.
So you think that's a bit
Well,
much?
I just think their priority is lower than the newsletter. But visually,
Okay, well,
they
Yeah.
are at the
It's
top.
So
I like the design,
Mhm.
but what I did notice from the front page, he hasn't updated it. He has October 17, 2017 stuff. So
wow.
if you want to have, dated stuff up there, you might want to keep it current.
Oh, well, you mean this news button? This
Yeah.
news item, October 4th, 2017? That's the
Yeah.
first thing you see?
It's kind of petty, but
You guys don't get it. He's doing that Kanye move. He's about to drop. Papa Gro's about to drop a sick new record. It's gonna
You're
flip this
right.
whole website on you guys.
I'm too old. I didn't get it.
Could you click on the store button?
Store.
Yeah.
Clicking.
Yeah, it's kind of slow on mine,
It's not
too.
happening.
I was just wondering if the store was in the site or if it takes you to somewhere else, because I noticed that it's not secure. So if you're
Oh.
gonna take credit cards, you wanna make sure you have a secure site, because you don't wanna get in trouble for passing credit
User
card data.
information?
Yeah.
Why is that a thing? Have you heard about anything like that lately?
Hey.
I didn't know.
Serious.
Maybe the Russians are gonna use our credit card
Hey,
information.
serious.
All right, but if you to go to the merch store,
So yeah, he'll have to make sure that he gets.
but it does seem the responsiveness seems very slow, and I don't know whether that's our internet connection or it's because his site is so loaded with data. I don't know.
That could also be another thing too. If you have a lot of embeds on the site, if those widgets aren't loading on time, it could actually slow the experience on the website. So sometimes you want to limit how many widgets you embed onto your
Right.
site.
Okay. Well, now can you tell just from looking at it whether this is a template site or a custom site?
That's custom.
Yeah,
How do you know?
just the design.
He's made some custom tweaks.
Custom tweaks. Okay. Well, I happen to know that that he did this site custom. So.
A lot of templated sites have those full-up images when you first arrive. It's like huge cover images or video or slideshows.
It's like your home photo on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
Right, gotcha.
Mhm.
All right, so
It's-
here's
it's
another
amazing.
local band website, Ron Hotstream and the Mid-City Drifters. What are your immediate thoughts on this? It scrolls down.
Amazing. This is a perfect example of a brutalist website.
Yeah.
Just go for it. This is like why people still go to the Space Jam website. It's just amazing. You gotta see it.
Yeah, this is hard. It's horrible.
Horrible?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Well, the picture, this big Dolly Parton type lady up top. The buttons are so 19.
Yeah. it's
Tell
like-
me where you're gonna buy the
80s.
CD.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, just
Buy
the
CD.
buttons are-
Yeah,
no,
that-
He's
it's-
got it.
and it's
laid
not a
out
clean.
action is
right from the
clear.
beginning.
It's not a clean.
Shaped like a CD.
it's not a-
Says
and-
buy.
And you know, the person that owns the site, they probably were in love with this whole logo at the top. And they were like, I need my logo at the top. They were probably in meetings, having long meetings. I need my logo, and it's just goofy.
I could actually see that logo being cut out as more of an icon.
Yeah,
So like
you
if you go back to, well, if you can, the MailChimp website where it has its logo in the top left-hand corner. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, if you want to, yeah.
I think it will work with something like that. It just needs to
So
be.
wait, so his,
It's just dated.
I
It's
just
So
feel
has
like
a
if
dated.
his
so
fans went to the
which logo?
MailChimp
With
website,
the Stormy Daniels picture
Yeah,
over here?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I just think it needs to be fresh.
I like how he uses that by CD image twice. So obviously, a developer put it at the bottom, and he's like, put it at the top too.
Right.
So he put the same thing at the top, and then the iTunes button was at the top, and he was like, put it at the bottom. Love it.
Well, I mean, what I'm having trouble with is the photo in the back. It's a photo that's taken from the perspective of the artist on stage, and there's an audience there.
You know, you're rocking them out. Rock them, bringing the crowds.
But
that's for the
the
that's for the bookers.
So like the full edge to edge, where like the parallax images that you've seen in some of them, where it's like a full band, like yours, where it's just a full image, and then it kind of like.
my problem is
Go
not
section
with
to
the photo, although it's not a picture of the artist, so I can't see what the artist looks like. My problem is that the photo is completely obscured by everything else, and I can't see the image, so I'm wondering why it's there. I mean, I would almost prefer just a color field, just something blank behind it, rather,
Yeah.
because now I'm distracted by this photo, and I'm trying to see, well, what are they looking at? And why is that guy in the front row looking at his phone? I mean, it's like, it's distracting to me. But that's me. I'm old school. Or just old. All right, moving right along. All right, that was Ron Hotstream. What do we got now? Billy Ayuso, popular New Orleans-based entertainer, guitar player, singer. All right, what do you guys think of this site? There's a picture.
Oh, I'm about to go. I gotta go. I can't watch this. I can't. This is
Oh,
horrible.
why? What's
that
the
whole
issue?
menu. Okay, go back to the top. That whole side menu. There's just a lot going on with that. Just a lot.
Ooh, what is that
The-
last link?
Yeah.
The last link,
Oh,
YouTube.
one up.
Oh,
Whoa, all that
production,
stuff.
stage plots, backline, writers, press photos.
So I'm saying.
Maybe
That's
just one word for that.
Okay.
But in mobile, it works fine. I mean,
It's just like a completely different.
it's just
website.
stacked. Yeah, it's
Just
completely
It
different.
looks
Yeah.
like the Uber website on
It's
mobile.
completely different. The navigation's different. It's collapsed into one. So
And
I
just
guess
for-
it doesn't matter in desktop so much, but if it does,
And I would say
have
just
to
for
mesh.
like for the bands that's here, you wouldn't want to have just scrolling down with the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
The pictures are doing nothing. It's just like a photo gallery on your website. Even though it looks cool that you're playing, you can put those pictures into a photo gallery. Just have the site managed better. You can have some good information at the bottom about your upcoming dates and stuff like that. Nobody really understands all these different things he has. The
Well, so
Paytronic-
these other logos that he's got here, these look like either things that he's endorsing or I'm
but why?
not entirely sure
Like
what
my
they
man said,
they
why do
reference.
you have that?
I think that could be cleaned up to like its own page.
Yeah.
And then maybe
Links, endorsements,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's got a link to his social right here at the top. He's got another link to his socials right here at the top. And the gig calendar is this tiny little square all the way
Yeah, the
over here.
typography is small. Too
Um,
small. I don't really like the 3-column deal. It works on mobile, but there's ways around making it more of a better desktop experience.
And I actually have the same issue with this one as I had with the last one, which is there's a picture, which when you finally get to see it behind that screen, you can see that it's actually him looking right at you with the, he's like jamming real hard and he's probably having an awesome show right there and he's goofing with the photographer, but from there,
That's a feature.
I can't
He wants
tell.
you to discover that.
Okay, well, like you said, it's brutal. It's brutalist, and I am confused, but it's on purpose.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can you click on photo gallery? I just want to see how he has that laid out. Go back right there.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I'm gonna go home and stay.
I just have a thing with pictures on the home page that I cannot see.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts.
It's one long line of photos.
See, I think the resolution of these images could be that he may have taken them from like another website, maybe MySpace, maybe, I don't know. But
Yeah, this definitely looks like
Well,
it's a website right after MySpace.
I mean, so he's got pictures of him with a lot of people either jamming or hanging out, and I get it that he's, you know, kind of in the jam band world, and the fact that he jams with all these folks is really cool, and it's probably going to help him build his audience. My only issue is that he's not identifying who these other people are. So if I don't know who they are,
Right.
the connection is lost on me.
Right.
Got JoJo.
All right, let's move on. All right, Evan Christopher, clarinet player, based here,
It's clean.
clean.
Yes, it's clean.
All right, any other thoughts? All right,
Is it
so
more
this
of a
close button, what is that? All right, so he had a little ad at the top that he's got a close button. He's got his gigs. What's this? That's a photo gallery? Oh, this is
Yeah.
little homepage features. Okay.
Yeah, this seems all right.
There's exactly 2. Okay. So he's got his blog posts, he's got his events, a link to all of the events, he's got his socials right there.
Can you click on that?
Which one?
events? All events.
All events?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's.
He's got his
good.
Twitter feed right there.
See, now upcoming events is pretty good because it's like dates that are close, and then the past events fall right underneath it. So it's not like I'm looking through a list of past and present and future events.
All right. But yes, I think we all agree it's a clean site, it's functional, easy to look at, it's going to get the job done. All right, Gal Holiday and the Honky Tonk Review. So it's got a nav bar here. It's got a nice picture of her. You can see her face. I like that. Takes you to her crowdfunding campaign first and foremost, so I guess that is a high priority. Is it done? Yes, successfully funded. All right, calendar. What do you think about gig calendar in this calendar layout as opposed to a list of dates?
I think the list is more effective in mobile. On desktop, this works, but just to render a calendar on mobile is better for it to be a list. But I'm sure if this is a plugin, it's probably responsive to where it turns into a list rather than a
Then there's a
block
donate
calendar.
button down here, but we just read earlier that the crowdfunding campaign has been closed, so maybe need to take that off. But the links to her socials right here, but
Very
she's...
clean. Does she have a newsletter on there?
I do not see a newsletter sign up,
Yeah.
so that should go right up at the top. Well, let's see, on the contact, there you go, it's on the contact page.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
So you want the newsletter sign up right there,
always,
Yeah.
always front and center,
absolutely.
because
It's just the best way to communicate.
Yeah,
It's-
and you could retarget to that list. So the list that you are collecting, you can always retarget to the people that subscribe to your newsletter.
Okay. All right. Okay, Soul Brass Band, Derek Freeman. No, wait, what happened? Why did the page change color like that for a minute?
Oh,
Whoa.
yeah.
I don't know what that's
It's kind of
about.
like this. It's not usable unless we do this trick. So there's a lot of trust. The technology needs to work flawlessly,
Every time.
or you won't be able to read any of that text. So it's pretty scary.
All right, well, I have to be honest with you.
This is basically them trying to solve your problem. You want to see the picture? You can do that here.
Exactly. And now I'm going to cover
When
it
you
up.
Scroll down. We're gonna need that. But they haven't figured that you can just like push the photo up.
Well,
You know.
so, but these headlines with the type,
Yeah.
that are not in picture boxes like one of those other sites that we looked at, this becomes confusing to me. Now I'm having a hard time.
Yeah, this is like a menu now.
No, even on mobile, you get a different experience. Like it goes completely white over the background, and you can't. And so
Right.
you have to scroll down to get to all of the copy.
That's powered by band Zoogle.
All right. Now, the nav, oh boy.
Does it flash every time?
Yep.
Looks like, so wait. Oh, that was home. I thought it was shows. All right. All right, schedule of events.
Yeah, in mobile, it's kind of it's a bit buggy in mobile. I guess it could be fixed, but I don't know.
All right, there's a nav button for booking and another one for contact. In my world, those are usually the same button, so I don't know why it's got two separate buttons.
They have a form. Like, some people just do a form.
One good thing you can do, and this
Oh, like a
is,
booking request form, got it.
This is a little different. Is
I don't understand booking request forms, I honestly don't. I do not know why anybody would put that on their website.
so this is a product. You know, Bandzoogle is a product. One thing you can do is follow their product blogs to see whether or not they're evolving their product on a daily basis and in what ways. And you can also kind of get involved with a little bit of that work to help shape the product. I mean, a lot of these problems, like Bandzoogle should be enforcing better practices, you know, but they're probably living with some infrastructures that are also a little bit old. So, I don't know, that's some of the benefits you get with sort of a more modern infrastructure like Squarespace is a
Yeah.
little bit more recent developments.
Well, yeah, I mean, this template just seems old because to have a booking form where they're asking me to fill out all sorts of information on the front end, and then on the contact page, they have, well, if you want to send us a message, it's here. If you want to sign up for the email
Yeah, so
list,
that's just
it's
like,
here.
That's just like Gal's website. It's
And
like
if you want-
Bandzoogle has this newsletter sign up on the contact page,
Right.
standard, and they think that's okay.
But
It's
for
not.
business inquiries, send an email to this email address, but it's not a hot link to the email address.
Yeah.
So I would consolidate all of that and just have a newsletter sign up and one contact, or give me the email addresses for who do I contact if I want to book you, or press inquiries or something. But the booking, you see these on a lot of websites, the booking form is like, hey, tell us everything about your event, and maybe we'll get back to you, maybe we won't. And I just hate that. All right, Chawa. All right, can you tell from looking at it what template it's built on? Or whether it's a custom site?
Maybe from the video embed. I usually see that a lot where the videos, when they're embedded, they're kind of a large, very large video box.
This could be a really ugly Squarespace website.
I don't actually think this site is that bad.
No, not aesthetically my thing.
I mean, there's a picture of them right at the top. You sort of get an idea of what
It's their
they're
name
about.
twice.
Hmm?
Chawa.
Yes, it says it twice.
Yeah. That would
Okay.
drive me
All right,
crazy.
so that's a little redundant. The which
So,
one?
so one thing
About?
also with the video,
Oh, okay, it's one page.
some
Yeah.
people may be against it. They can take away the video in that section and have a like a screenshot of the video, and then have a button that says watch video. And then there's a feature that's called a light box, and it'll just fade everything out, and you get the video in the foreground. Because it takes up a lot of space, and it's forcing the users to have to scroll all the way down
Mm.
to get to all of the content.
Well, again, I think this gets back to what Kiana was talking about earlier, the difference between a site that's built for talent buyers and one that's built for fan interaction. And maybe this is a site that's built for buyers because it's fairly clean and clear and gives me all the information that I would be looking for. And for the fans, you know, if you can get to them all the way down here at the bottom,
Yeah.
it'll tell you where their social socials are and have that day-to-day interaction. All right, let's look at another one. All right, King James and the Special Man. All right, so there's an order now right here on the front homepage.
Yep, I like that clear call to action.
Very clear. They have their little slogan, act like you know. Picture them inside a shipping container. Kind of cool. All right, so the socials are right there. There's a video.
So they made their homepage a place. They made their homepage a place where all their blog articles are being stored and stuff.
Is it up to date?
Is what up to date, sorry?
The blog articles?
Uh,
Because if you're gonna display articles, you have to make sure everything's up to date.
2017.
Yeah. Because if you're
well,
not
this
gonna
top
update
one is
it,
dated August 1st, 2017.
yes. Because if you're not gonna update it often, you might as well just
don't put it up there.
don't
like
even
that.
take it.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't even put it up there.
All right. I haven't read this, but I'm confused by the hot dog. I don't know why it's there. Wow. All right. No upcoming tour dates.
Yeah.
That is never something you want to say. All right. There's
Well,
your girl, 3D Not T.
Yeah. And one thing about with Nati, she did her own website. I tried to,
And her own app.
Yeah, I tried to sell her, and she was like, "No, I did it myself."
Mhm.
Like, you're killing my business.
Well, what do you think about this is a scrolling site. It's almost a landing page.
Yeah, and she has a menu bar at the top left hand, right-hand corner.
So what does the menu do? Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Brings this stuff all out.
I think she did it in WordPress, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, she did her own app also.
Yeah.
I think for that that top area, that feature area.
Up here with this.
Yeah, she would. I would recommend her having like some sort of button that anchors the visitors down to the video.
Yeah.
Because here it doesn't lead me anywhere, so I wouldn't know. I mean, because you can't expect every user to navigate your site properly.
Yeah, besides the Kanye website, this is one of the first ones where,
Is it just
You
me,
get
or is
to
this
it and-
photo incredibly dark?
well, yeah,
Pretty
it's
dark.
dark in that room.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. I'm just feels like, one of the things that this artist in particular, she makes her physical presence an important part of her whole marketing campaign.
Yeah.
So it just leads me to question,
Why is it
why
dark?
can't
Yeah.
I see the picture of you? It's there. So I don't know. Maybe it's my eyes. These old school eyes.
Her monitor was probably brighter.
That
when she
must have
was
been it.
designing
That must have been it.
And I think too, the home page was intended to be a landing page.
Uh-huh.
So
So this
what
is
could
like her-
also work is if she adds some typography to that image up top. So even if she has that subdued image, the typography could lend itself to the message she's trying to
I
convey.
like that call to action right there.
which
Want more?
Yeah.
Like clever wording definitely helps. That's probably the first copy that I've read on any of these websites. Everything else just kind of scrolled past.
buy the mobile app, 24-hour access to new music videos and exclusive content. What content do you suppose she has on the app that's not on
It's
the
very
website?
outdated.
Okay. All right. I happen to think the world of 3D Not T. I think she's an amazing entrepreneur. I just rethink the exposure on that first picture. All right, Lynn Drury. This looks like a new site for her. All right, so once again, we've got this background photo. I think I might actually see the top of her head right there, so I think she's behind this thing. No, I'll never know. Is there, so again, I'm wondering why there's this image back here, which looks like it might be kind of cool, but is it just me?
Yeah, that's just, well, we need a background image. What do you got? We got this. Put it. Done. It's probably solved in 10 seconds. Little did they know how much stress it would cause you.
Well, all right, so, all right, there's the calendar.
Are you able to distinguish that the page changed when you clicked
No,
on? Okay,
No,
yeah.
I did not see that. I clicked
Yeah.
on the calendar and it told me absolutely nothing. But let's see what happens with.
Yeah, so you
All right,
won't
so
even know
everything's
which
below the
page.
fold, but it doesn't do anything when you're on the nav.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I
Looks
agree.
like they put that image up there to establish this next event, but forgot that the website functioned underneath it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so you click on bio. Oh, there it is.
That's on every
Yeah.
page? Oh, my.
Yeah, so you gotta scroll.
All right, so
Underneath
it should,
the
that's
page.
just confusing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Lynn, I want to see your picture, babe. Where are you? Okay, Jeanette Downing, local children's music artist here in town, award-winning. She's done a lot of stuff. And the very first thing that happens is we're brought to this performance video.
The video.
Do you like that or not like that?
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do. I think that the experience on mobile may change. Like, you may not even see that video anymore, but that's fine because the calls to action is still there. Like, if you scroll down, I'm sure on mobile it'll still have watch the video, and it'll still take you to that video in the background.
Now, she's got the exact same nav bar at the bottom as she has on the top.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Ooh, she's getting down. There we go. All right. Okay. Calendar. It's clean,
Yep, that's solid.
and I think for her audience, which is a specific target audience, I think this site's going to work quite well.
And her blog's up to date.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right. Good job, Jeanette. Here we go. Mike Harvey's Hot Club. All right, so landing page.
Yeah, this is tough. Like,
See?
it's just when you land on a page like that, I typically just say,
It make you hate all
Okay.
landing pages.
Well, it takes you
Okay.
to the landing page is, it's a logo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But there's like no
there's
direction.
a lot of trust there.
No
The user's
particular call to
gonna
action.
Yeah.
do
No,
something-
no
Yeah, do
navigation,
something
no
next.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that I hate. That's the one that's
All right, so got your gigs, one long scroll,
Yeah, one long scroll down. Just one button.
purchase.
Those
mean,
could be buttons, I think.
Should be buttons, yeah.
Yeah.
It agreed that the functionality is probably fine, but the look is not entirely
Yeah.
pro.
Yeah.
Mike just needs to think, like a user would ask the question, hey man, how do I get your tour dates? Or where's your pre-order link? And he's like, go to my website. All you're gonna see is a
one-
picture. Scroll down. No, keep scrolling. Scroll. No, you scroll too far. Scroll up. No, it's the third link. No, it's not a button.
Yeah.
It's above the second image. You know, like he couldn't even explain how to find that button.
What do you think
That's an
about
issue.
showing pictures of the front and back of his CD?
It's fine. Revealing.
Cool.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, so he's got some free audio there, a bio, scrolls. All right,
Oh, the
sort of a photo
scrolls.
blog, photo
Pages.
gallery.
Wow, all that
All right, so
scroll.
these are more tour dates all the way down here? Wow. I
He
would
may
think
have
that
done
you want to
this-
keep all your tour dates in one place,
He
right?
may have done this himself.
So
Like, took
I-
a Saturday, got a six-pack of beer, and just knocked it out.
Yeah, so I think he just has to improve navigation.
Just knocked it out, man.
Or just put a little message at the front that says, "This is how my website works."
Or even
You
just
have to
just
scroll.
a menu logo up here at in the
Yeah.
top right, something
Yeah.
that says, all right, you want my tour dates? Go find them.
So there's some sites too in like a desktop experience where there's an arrow, and most people click on the arrow and then it navigates them down to the.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's
other
just look at
parts
one
of
or
the
two more
site.
here. Here we go. My new favorite
That's
band.
Nice
All right.
opening image, catch your attention. nice logo, social media on the side, joint mailing list. Yeah,
Tight.
yeah, it's tight, it's tight, it's tight. They paid a nice penny for this one.
April 7, unknown venue. Talk about trust.
Yep.
Tiny desk concert? That's impressive.
Contest. They didn't get it
Yeah,
yet,
Oh, contest. Sorry, my
that's
bad.
nice.
but it is breaking news.
And it's, like he was saying, the typography is all one font type, is not crazy, and it's just clean, it's clean.
Except the font on the
Oh,
album
yeah, that's
cover
a
here,
flyer. Yeah, that's a
that
flyer.
stands out a little
Yeah,
bit.
got his music player,
And this is a different font right here, but
yeah.
And
All
you
right.
you can actually do a search online for
Click on the
typography
yeah.
pairings, like
Store.
which fonts pair well together for the web.
all right, well, so when you
Of
click
the
on
story.
tour, you're keeping this enormous homepage feature image, and the tour dates are all the way below the fold.
Right.
Gotcha. Yeah,
So I would maybe, when you click on the different navigation items, you change up your dominant look here and take me
Yeah.
to the information about that I'm actually looking for, rather than continuing to show me the same picture.
I like
Did-
it though, that's clean.
Ah, I recognize that picture. That's a recent photo. All right,
That's nice.
yeah, but all the elements are there.
Yeah, that's everything for a winning site right there.
Okay.
And the experience
Oh,
on
that's-
mobile looks okay.
I think that's it. We made it all the way through. Good
Yeah.
God. Oh, wait, we got to end with Kanye.
I like.
Okay, well, we've only been here for 97 hours. You all made it to the end. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank our panel once again for being here and for sharing all of your time and your knowledge. I really appreciate you guys. Brandon Haynes, Brandon Schelling, and Lee Martin. Once again, this is the Sync Up Conference from the Jazz and Heritage Foundation. Thank you y'all so much, and we will be back here in a